Voltron fans, this is Mark Morell, your host for Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast, coming at you for our 200th episode. We finally made it to 200. I'm so excited. I have to bring on my co-host, Greg Tyler. Welcome, Greg.
Hello, Mark Morell. Hello, Let's Voltron listeners and fellow Voltron fans across the universe, and welcome to our 200th podcast. Is that crazy or what?
Yeah, you got that right. So we're here for the 200th time. Now, Greg hasn't been with me for 200 times.
No, only about 160 or so.
Right. It's been most of them. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I really took a look at it, and I found out that, Michael was on with us for, I don't know, about 17 to 22, somewhere around there.
Yeah, Michael French of Retro Blasting fame, yes.
And Jeremy Corey was there for about 5 or 6 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And even Dan Jolly was there with me for about 5 of them or 6 of them.
Right, helping with reviews, yep.
Yes. So, yeah, you've done the most of them.
Wow.
By far.
It's an honor and a privilege and a heck of a lot of fun.
Yes.
And this is our first time on camera for the podcast, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's going to be interesting going into this new way of doing things with video conferencing, with video podcasting. I know video podcasts have been around for a long time. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to go with us. I just found out that our hosting provider, Simplecast, is now part of the SiriusXM Pandora family. Okay.
Hopefully that's good.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what that means for us. They're telling us nothing's going to change, but we'll see.
Okay.
But for the time being, this is a new reality for us, being able to do Zoom for the podcast. And it's kind of interesting, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I didn't have time to make myself fully beautiful for anyone, but that's really not possible anyway. Let's be real. I still haven't had a post lockdown haircut, so
neither have I.
Yeah,
neither have I. I could really use a haircut at this point.
Yeah,
but
I know the feeling.
Yeah, we're in a position right now where the world is changing.
It is.
There may be some people who were used to working in offices that may never have to work in an office again. They can work completely from home.
Yeah, this may become a long-term / permanent thing for a whole lot of people.
Yes. And what does that mean for all those offices out there if they're going to be empty?
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah. So it also may change things up for, of course, what we follow, the animation world.
Right.
We've seen that animation is still able to continue, but the collaboration is a little bit different.
Right. And we, from our past interviews with voice actors from different Voltron shows, it's possible to do all of that from a home studio, and many people do that. Under certain circumstances, maybe not all the time, maybe not most of the time, but it is possible technologically. So
it may take a little bit longer, to do certain things. But for the time being, I think they've worked out ways to make it as efficient as possible.
Right.
And, you're certainly not going to get that ensemble cast recording that you used to get for voice recording.
Right. It'd be a little, as we know through our Skype experience, and we would have this with Zoom as well, just getting 2 people to say, "Let's Voltron" at the end of a podcast is a massive challenge. So, yeah. Now I realize those aren't, pro grade materials. Whatever the people in the biz use is undoubtedly better, but internet bandwidth is what internet bandwidth is.
So speaking of the new reality, of course, part of the new reality is wearing masks everywhere you go, right?
Right.
So, of course, we had to offer up on our TeePublic store our own masks.
Beautiful. And so is the mask.
So this is a full mask. They have different versions. They have like the half mask and the full mask.
Okay.
And The full mask, I think, is anywhere from $15 to $20, depending on whether it's on sale or not. And of course, any design that we have on our TeePublic store can be made into a mask.
Very cool. I do have a collection of masks, but I don't have any with nifty podcast artwork or any other artwork at all. They're homemade by my loving wife. So, but those are very, very cool looking. And the Voltron store has a Black Lion mask that they've announced this week.
I wanted to make sure that we announced that too, that the Voltron store has some really cool masks that are licensed.
Yes, with a photo of Bob Koppler, World Events Productions president, promoting it on social media. And it looks like he hasn't had a haircut in a while either. But he's still an awesome guy. And, hey, we love him. He's a great guy.
And at the time of this recording, it's just before Father's Day, but we're not going to be able to release this until after Father's Day. But happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. And that would be a really cool thing to pick up for your dad.
Yeah, or anyone.
Right.
Random person walking down the street. Here's a Voltron, or let's Voltron face mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've got an amazing show coming up here. Okay.
Amazingly amazing.
Amazingly amazing. We've got some special musical guests that are going to be in the first half. And then in our second half, we're going to see some people from VLD that you know and love. And you're going to love seeing them in this kind of a format too.
Yes. Seeing, not just hearing.
That's right. That's right. And I wanted to sort of bring this whole thing together as to what it means to get to 200 episodes on this podcast, because you think about the average length of one of our podcasts is probably about an hour and a half, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
And you think about an hour and a half times 200.
Yeah. 300 hours. What is that? So in terms of weeks, there's 168 hours every week. So nearly 2 solid weeks of material, right?
Yeah. If you wanted to actually binge our podcast, that would be pretty difficult.
Yeah. So you could probably do it in 4 to 6 weeks. Well, no, I mean, it depends how much time you got.
Yeah.
It could take many months to get through.
You need to allow some time for sleep and bathroom breaks and getting some food and drink and stuff like that. But
biology is so overrated.
Yes. But I mean, that's a lot of hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's shocking. It would be interesting to compare that against the number of actual minutes in every single episode of Voltron ever made. I've never done the math. We could probably swag it, but it's late in the day, and I don't want to go there right now.
So I've put together a little list here. We've had over 382 guests on the podcast.
Are these distinct people, or are we counting if someone's been on 5 times? They count.
No, I'm not counting distinct. Okay, because that would be too hard. Yeah. All right, I'm thinking about every single guest who's ever been on the podcast, and if it's the same people over and over again, I'm not counting them as unique. So I'm just saying 382 guests on our podcast besides the hosts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
And yes, many people have been on with us many times.
Repeat offenders, yes.
Yes.
Or repeat defenders, given the subject matter.
Yes. But we've covered pretty much the whole gamut of all the different types of shows that have come out for Voltron. We've done all 78 episode reviews for Voltron Legendary Defender.
Mm-hmm.
We did 38 episodes of Voltron Defender of the Universe.
And there's more to come.
Lion Force episodes.
Right.
With the Vehicle Voltron episodes, we did a 2-parter, remember, when you were special guest host at the time?
Yes, I do recall.
And then also with Voltron the Third Dimension, we did a 2-parter with that as well. And that was with Shannon and you.
Yep.
And then, wow, we've had directors, we've had line producers, voice directors, producers, writers, artists, voice artists, Lego designers. We've had fan spotlights, fan artists, fan cosplayers, fan fiction writers, comic books writers and artists, toys, collectors of toys. We've had a whole bunch of people on this podcast with us.
Yeah, it's been an awesome ride, and there's much more to come.
Yes, there's much more to come, and especially on this podcast itself.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how in the world, what crazy space-time ruptures brought all this about, but holy moly, what a lineup.
Yes, and before we get to that lineup, there is a top 10 that I need to do based on all the podcasts that we have ever done. I'd like to announce what the top 10 most popular were.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah, sounds great.
And this is just counting it by the number of downloads.
Okay.
Okay. So our number 10, coming in at number 10.
We need a Casey Kasem voice.
Yes.
Coming in at number 10 on Let's Voltron Top 10. Sorry, Casey, wherever you are, rest in peace. Anyway,
Yes.
Go ahead.
We have The Legend of Voltron, which was our very first podcast.
Great.
Our very first episode has still hung out in our top 10.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Coming in at number 9, Kimberly Brooks, AJ Locascio, and Josh Keaton interview.
Oh, awesome.
That was wonderful because we had all three of them on at the same time.
I know. Imagine having multiple voice actors on one podcast.
I know.
That never happens. No, rarely happens. But
Yes.
Wow, when it does, it's an amazing thing.
It's hard to get multiple people on at the same time, isn't it?
It is.
So coming in at number 8, AJ Locascio extended interview.
Nice.
Coming in at number 7, Tim Hedrick and Mitch Iverson interview.
Yes, good
Both of them
stuff.
together.
Yeah, they are so great. As listeners and viewers, it feels weird to say that. As listeners and viewers will hear and see later in this podcast, I've been finally catching up on Form Podcast, the official Voltron commentary podcast. And so I've gotten to hear a lot from Mitch Iverson and Tim Hedrick and many other people who were on that podcast. And we've got them on our podcast too, which is pretty darn nice.
That's right. Right, we do. So coming in at number 6, our 100th podcast celebration.
Whoa.
So think back to half of what we've done now.
Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one.
That was a really good one.
Yeah, it's hard to remember any of them by number except for the ones that end in 00.
Yeah. That's right. So coming in at number 5, our post-season 6 recap for Voltron Legendary Defender with Joaquin Dos Santos and Lauren Montgomery.
Always great to have them on. It was anytime they came on, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and they came on with us several times. I mean, many times.
They were probably, I mean, we haven't, I don't think we've officially, broken down the number of times all the different guests have been on, but they probably are the record setters at this point. Would you agree?
Yeah, they were definitely, out of all the VLD people, they were on with us the most.
Yeah.
And I have to say, probably of all the guests that we've had, they've been on the most.
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of hard to because I didn't go back and I didn't count each person singularly.
Yeah, in fact, I need to go back one of these days and listen to some of those old retro Voltron segments, because there are certain things I'd like to do to make sure we don't duplicate ourselves.
Right.
It's hard to keep track of that.
And then coming in at number 4, Shironanigans with Josh Keaton.
Oh, that was fun. Loved it.
We had a couple of themed titles there. We had Alorapalooza and Shironanigans.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have done something separate for each character.
We still might be able to do that. Or Shironanigans, the sequel, maybe, because there was a lot we did not know about Shiro when we were doing Shironanigans.
That's right. We even did a character study of Shiro. Remember that?
Yeah, and that was again based on a lot less information than we later got. So yeah.
Right. And now coming in at number 3, again, Josh Keaton interview and some assembly required review.
Very cool.
So Josh was definitely a very popular person on the list. He comes in 3 times on the list here.
Yeah, and AJ's a hot commodity on our list as well.
And I think he also participated in our 100th podcast celebration as well. So coming in at number 3, AJ Locascio interview.
Woohoo!
That was when he first became announced as Prince Lotor.
I remember it like it was just a couple years ago.
There was a lot of excitement about AJ joining the cast.
Oh yeah. I still remember the whole thing where before the a lot of the announcements came down, when they had that sneak preview at which convention was it?
It was New York Comic Con.
Yeah, when Lotor turns around and it's got Colton Ecker's face.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then coming in at number 1, Jeremy Shada interview and collection and extraction review.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure Jeremy would be excited about being the number 1 podcast episode on our podcast.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So that's our top 10.
Love it. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So I also wanted to thank a few people who had made some 200th episode art for our episode to celebrate it.
Right.
So we want to thank Susan C. from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
She did this special one for us. You can, there you go.
Beautiful. And you'll be sharing that on the podcast page.
Yes, we'll be sharing that on the podcast.
Yes, by hand.
Yes. So that is definitely really cool because both you and I have been drawn as part of the Voltron force.
That's pretty neat. Now, which character? Which of us was which?
I'm in the Keith position.
Okay.
You're in the Lance position.
Wow.
And then we also have a Sven, a Hunk, a Pidge, and another Hunk. There's two
hunks. Wow, very hunky.
One.
Hey, I have an old Hunk figure here. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Well, both the Sven and the Orange Hunk are there from Voltron Defender of the Universe.
Right.
And then from Voltron Legendary Defender is Pidge and Hunk from that show.
Cool. Very cool.
So you see them in their uniforms. And then you and I are just wearing shirts. That's it.
I'm cool with that. No one will want to see me without a shirt.
Right.
Speaking of, you're wearing a Voltron shirt. How very patriotic of you.
Yes.
And I am as well. Flying the colors there. There we go.
Yeah, cool. So we also had a piece of art from our friend Mel.
All right, Mel. Woo.
So Mel has provided us with what she calls the Keithiversary.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
So that is the Keithiversary. Okay?
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Mel.
And that is also going to be shared on our podcast. We're going to share this across the social media and in our podcast notes page. And you might even see a video for this podcast. So what do you think about that?
Video killed the radio star. Is this stuck in your head yet, Mark? I'm trying.
Yes, yes it is.
It wouldn't be if I sang that.
That's right.
If my family, if their opinions have any bearing on reality.
So my son did a couple of things for us. You can probably see that, right?
Yeah, the Paladins, and it says 200th episode across the top.
Yep.
Nice.
So that is the widescreen version, and then he also made a square version.
Okay.
So we'll be able to use it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool, and I want to thank my son Lucas for those.
Thank you, Lucas.
So there you go. We've got some 200th episode art.
Nice. Thank you, everyone who made that awesome stuff.
And of course, later on, we're going to be going over some of the emails that were sent in by some of our listeners.
Right.
On specifically what we had asked for was, tell us which of the podcast episodes that we've done would you like to see more of
Mm-hmm.
the same.
Okay.
Or what would you like to see us do for the first time?
Nice.
So we'll be sharing that later on in the podcast.
Sounds awesome.
And for right now, though, we do have to get to our first guests.
Yes, and we recorded them by audio only back in the day. So hopefully we'll have some, so if this is edited into a nice continuous video, we'll have some really nice images to cycle through or something like that.
Yes.
All right, great.
And we do have plenty of images because they have their own fan art, people that have done their own fan art. So
really cool stuff too.
Yes. So we have some of those images to share, and we'll be bringing those people up right now.
Woohoo!
You know, we've had Random Gibberish on, right?
Yes, they were great.
They did a song called Hear Me Roar, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Then we had the Shake-Ups on.
Right. They're cool.
And they did a whole album dedicated to Voltron.
Right.
But guess what we have now?
I think we have a band that is from Voltron.
Yes! We have a whole band that's actually from Voltron.
That's pretty awesome.
So I'm excited to have with us for our 200th episode, Lotor and the Generals. It's a band creating original music. The music is inspired by the alternate universe in which Lotor, Aksha, Ezor, and Zethrid from Voltron Legendary Defender are rebellious teens living in the suburbs.
Nice. I love that. And with all the multiple reality things going on the show, that's totally possible.
Yes. So we have with us Lotor, Aksha, Ezor, and Zethrid. So welcome. Welcome, Lotor and the Generals.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having us. We're so excited to be here on your 200th episode. That's so exciting.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. I had heard of you through the grapevine, but it's so wonderful to have actually listened to your music and to now have you on the podcast.
Definitely. Well, we're really happy to be here. Excited to share our stuff with you guys.
And did I hear also that you may have done an EP? Is that what we called the first album, was an EP?
Yes, yeah. So we had 3 songs that we released in the beginning from our EP. It's Not a Phase Witch, right? With the title track, Rep It Na, Witch and Dad, and Crawl's Era. We put those out last year in January, and we were just so shocked by the response that we got. The Voltron fan base is really fantastic. So ever since then, we've just been creating more and more Lotor music.
And then how many songs have you released since that first EP?
We've released 3 more songs, but we actually have a lot more in the works and on YouTube.
Very cool.
Because it's not a phase witch, right?
Exactly. See,
we're not just going through a teenage phase. We're actually keeping this going, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Sure.
So one of the things that I noticed right off the bat, you guys have excellent harmonies.
Thank you.
How do you make that happen?
All right. Well, I think we can attribute most of our harmonies to Aksha over there. Aksha is a harmonic genius.
Okay, so it's not all just me. There's a lot of other stuff. Of course, Lotor is the one who's leading the way in the melody and whatnot. But there's also Ezor and Zethrid always being there to back everything up. It's really a collective effort. Like it's not just 2 people who make the whole thing go forward.
I would like to butt in and say that Aksha is lying and very much downplaying her ability to form harmonies. Aksha is a robot and can find perfect harmonies in about, I'd say, 20 seconds after hearing the melody once.
Of course.
So I would definitely attribute not everything to Aksha, but the harmonies, I'd give her credit.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I just do what I can.
Really?
Yeah.
There seems to be a near consensus on this.
Well, we make a lot of harmonies on all of our songs, and I think, you start to notice, like, yeah, it's Aksha's robot brain kicking in.
Aksha's never going to admit it, but I think you can tell 3-1.
No.
And the one that we're talking about herself is saying no. I think you can tell.
That's just being humble. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Plus, it's like, they're harmonies, so it's going to take a little bit of working and reworking and like trying to figure out everything. So it's not ever going to be.
She says making perfect harmonies in 20 seconds, please.
So how often do you guys practice?
before quarantine, before Corona, we used to get together all the time. We have been friends since like kindergarten, and ever since we started Lotor and the Generals, it was like probably twice a month of just long rehearsals plus trips where we would just jam the whole time. But we've actually tried to do some Zoom rehearsals, and those haven't gone quite as well.
With little success.
It'd have to be tough to synchronize that way, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's a mess. Trust me.
There's always the lag, and it always gets in the way.
Yeah. We've resorted to just playing Minecraft and like pretending we're practicing.
Totally.
It's the thought that counts.
So we've noticed through our podcast whenever we like to end our podcast with having our guests say, Mark will say, "We'll see you all next time on," and then our guests will say, seemingly together, "Let's Voltron," but we usually wind up recording them separately for the very reason that you've mentioned. The time lag's a pain.
Yeah.
And you just gave away all of our secrets, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Mark, would you edit that out?
I'm just kidding. So going back to the beginning again, how is it that all of you guys came together and decided to form Lotor and the Generals as a band?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but I love this story so much. So we were all on a trip together. We were on the way back and we were in the airport, and we had just finished binge watching season 6 or 7 of Voltron. So we had watched all the episodes, and we had rewatched the feud like over and over and over. And we just loved how, you could see like Zarkon as like the suburban dad, And so we were in the airport and we were talking about it, and we ended up getting stuck for like 8 hours as our flight kept getting moved. And I had my little travel guitar on me, and we had just kind of been joking about it. We were like, oh, what if they were like in the suburbs and Lotor had a garage band, and we were like, yeah, his first song would be called Rep It Nah, because like Rep It Sa, but nah. And when we came up with that title, we were like, well, maybe we should just write the song, because we had time to kill, and we were just hanging out in the airport eating bad pizza. So we wrote that song, and then we wrote 4 other songs afterwards, and we're like, maybe we should do something with this. So that's kind of how it came to be. It was sort of all on accident.
So you'd known each other since kindergarten. And then at the airport, this band came together, or the beginnings of the band. And what happened in the middle here? So very clearly, all 4 of you are musically inclined because you came together and made a band. So how did your interest and skills in music come along?
No, I would love to take this story because we were actually just talking about this. And I think it's so funny. Lotor and Zethrid were the ones that introduced Aksha and I to Lotor and the Generals and to Voltron. And this was near the beginning of the show. And also, it was on the same day that they showed us Voltron that we actually made our first song together. It wasn't about Voltron. It was about some crazy story about Chad breaking up with someone, and we had all these rhymes like plaid and dad and
sad.
I don't know.
Mad.
It went weird places. It was just silly. It was a bunch of kids.
Sorry, I just want to clarify that Chad is an imaginary ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
No, we
Not
just
a real person.
that song.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No worries.
But we wrote our first song on the same day that we were introduced to Voltron, so I think it might be fate. We've written songs together before. It's only when we started watching the show that we decided to take it in a very specific and cheesy direction.
It's very prophetic.
Long live cheese.
Yeah, what kind of cheese are we talking about here? Is it brie? Is it cheddar? What do we got?
Okay.
We're talking 100% brain cheese.
Very special delicacy.
Very nice.
Okay, so once you formed the band and you realized you had something going there, how long did it take you before that initial EP was released?
Well, it took us, I would say, probably half a year, because we had written the songs in the airport and, we played them a few times together, but we didn't actually record them until I was recording something for a separate project. And it was like, well, we have like a day of extra studio time, and, maybe we should just pop in. And so we recorded all 3 songs on our first EP in the same day. just kind of for fun. I mean, we didn't even plan on releasing them or anything. But in January, for some reason, we had just gotten back from a trip and we're like, okay, I think we're going to put the songs up on Spotify now. We've kind of had them in our pocket for a while. We recorded them just kind of for fun in November. So we just put them out there. And that's as soon as we started sharing stuff with the Voltron fan base, that's when we really started getting even more into the band and creating more music and stuff.
That's awesome. The Repit Na being the first song, right?
Yes, the whole reason we created the band, because Repit Na was such a ridiculous pun that we just had to.
It's so good.
Are there any other puns that you're happy to share with us from Voltron?
Well, one of our songs, Witch and Dad, the title is not a pun, it's a witch, but we do have a line in the song that is witch and dad. It's the chorus, so forgive our terrible lyrics, but it's witch and dad, witch and dad, witch and dad, witch, and I just love it because it's it's witch, but it's witch, and then we say, yeah. We're not taking ourselves seriously here.
There was an old Scooby-Doo episode called Which Witch is Which?
Yes.
Way back in the day.
I love that.
So can we listen to a little bit of Repit Na? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never backing down. I'm never giving up. I'm gonna wear my crown. The empire is corrupt. And when you see me rising to the throne, I'll be the emperor of a nation of open eyes and open expectations. You're never gonna break me. You're never gonna break me. You're never gonna break me. Repit Na, na na na. Repit no, no you don't. Repit na, na na na. Repit no, no you don't. Repit na 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 na. I'm never giving na 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 na. Repit na 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 na. I'm never giving na 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 na. The empire is corrupt. It's not a phase, bitch.
It was pretty important for you guys to establish that, right?
Oh, very much. So just imagine the four of us singing that with a little mini guitar on the floor of the airport, because that's the origin.
Caught a couple of strange glances, but
Definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like how you're singing the chorus and at the same time there's the background vocals from what you were saying before in the song, and they come together really well. That layering of those two things at the same time really works well.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, you can thank Lotor for that. Lotor brings all the musical ideas and the melodies and all instrumental.
I
Is
love
mostly Lotor.
listening to songs and finding little tricks and things. I have this whole playlist of just songs that do cool stuff. So whenever we're writing something new, I'm always suggesting oh, well, what if we put in this section or we do something like that? And these guys are always pretty cool about trying things out. So I appreciate that.
we just go along with it.
Oh
I've got
yeah.
to tell them about the Banshee scream because
Oh,
we
the
really
Banshee.
when I say I suggest crazy things, I really do mean it. One time we had this song and it was this really big bridge, and we haven't released this one yet, but there was a moment where I just felt like there should be some sort of big vocal thing going on, and my brain was like, what if there was a Banshee scream? And I don't know why. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I suggested it. Trying to let the creativity flow, and Ezor is sure thing, and she just whips out this Banshee scream that is so perfect and rock and roll, and it was magical.
I am so amazed by how well you all play together and harmonize with each other, and the lyrics, the music. It blew my mind. I mean, you never know what to expect. I mean, here's a group, they do stuff for Voltron. I will tell you, I come from a history of being a Trekkie, and I've heard many fan bands for that are wanting a little bit. You know what I mean? You guys are absolutely amazing. It's so much fun to hear you bring those lyrics. They're clever lyrics. They're fun, and it's just a real treat.
Thank you so much.
And while we're talking about the instruments, can we talk about who plays what instrument in the band?
Yes. Okay. I play guitar. I was the one jamming on the mini guitar on the floor of the airport. That's pretty much the only thing that I do. I sometimes pretend I can play bass guitar. It works. I don't know why. But that's generally our setup, is just one guitar and we're practicing. Now, when we record things, when we try to make the sound bigger, sometimes we have to add in other instruments. And for those, well,
in our band, AU, we have our characters each play different instruments.
Okay.
Lotor is on guitar, obviously. Aksha is on bass. Ezra plays the guitar because we were thinking keyboard, but cooler. And then Zethrid plays drums.
Okay.
In our actual band practice, Zethrid plays bongos.
Or bass, usually.
Or bass, yeah. Aksha plays keyboard or piano.
Occasionally.
And Ezor, my goal, my mission, is to get Ezor on the kazoo, because I think that would really be
I can play kazoo, cowbell, and banshee scream.
You did well in kazoo.
But can you play Kaltenecker Bell?
That's the dream.
That's my new project. I'm learning that now.
We got to work up to that.
We definitely want more Kaltenecker Bell.
Yes.
Always use
More Kaltenecker Bell.
Oh yeah, we always do.
Yes.
Who are some of your musical inspirations? Who do you listen to for ideas and just to chill?
Oh, we have a lot of different bands that we kind of look to when it comes to our Lotor and the Generals music. We all kind of went through the phase where we listened to, Panic at the Disco and stuff together. But now we listen to all sorts of more obscure and more popular, older music. I love, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, stuff like that. My parents are always playing it for me. And I also will listen to Coast Modern and Miniature Titans and the Dudes and all kinds of lesser known indie alternative rock modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do want to state that usually it's Lotor who finds those kinds of bands and gets a lot of the musical inspiration and tries to incorporate it into the songs.
Oh,
And
the Conchords.
Yes.
Flight of the Conchords.
Oh, yes.
Flight of the
Yes.
Yeah.
Flight of the Conchords was with Reese Darby, right?
Yes. No. Well, yeah. He was in the show. Oh my gosh.
Right.
We watched the show. We watched Voltron, so we were so surprised to see him there. We thought it was so cool. And then the band.
Brett and Jermaine.
Yes.
Cool. That's cool that we could bring another member of the Voltron Legendary Defender cast into this.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You obviously have a great sense of humor. Is there something comedic-wise that inspires you?
Oh, well, I actually do improv classes, so maybe that. But we all just, we love doing this. This is just a fun thing for us. So we're not trying to create the big dramatic, sometimes, but we're just having fun. We're just making cool Voltron stuff. So we're talking with each other. We're laughing. We're putting out suggestions. And, our songs are just about creating something that we want to create.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where the comedy comes in. It's not always intentional, but it's just this feels like it should be like this, and maybe it's silly, but we're going to do it anyways.
The comedy comes from the fact that we can't say no.
Yeah.
Whenever someone has a stupid, funny idea, we go, yeah, put it in. When Lotor says Banshee Scream, I say yes. When someone says a song about water bottles flying into space, we say yes.
Spoiler alert. That's
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
A nice teaser for our fans. Look out in the future for that riveting song.
It's from Zethrid's perspective, so it's
Yes.
I mean, who else's perspective would it be from?
For some reason, we just have this idea in our mind that Zethrid kicks water bottles.
She steps on water bottles.
She steps
on water
Yeah,
bottles.
stomps on them, yeah.
sends them into orbit through the Earth.
Where did this
Nice.
come
Love
from,
it.
and why do we think that? I don't know, because we can't say no to each other, and we think it's also funny.
I like that there's no bad ideas. I think that's totally cool. If you're brainstorming, every single one of them is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's about how it goes.
Yes.
So you had another song you had mentioned earlier called Witch and Dad. Can we listen to a little bit of that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Witch and dad, witch and dad, witch and dad, witch, you! I was walking down the street, someone staring at me. It's a P.I. in a van. That witch hired her to make sure I wasn't doing anything sketchy, which I am. Witch and dad, witch and dad, witch and dad, witch, you! Now I'm sitting on the couch, there's a stranger in my house, but she kinda looks a lot like me. Got a really pointy chin and some super soft skin. Stole my lotion again? Thanks. Witch and dad, witch and dad, witch and dad, witch, you!
So, stole my lotion?
Well, because they call Lotor lotion.
Yes. And sometimes L'Oreal, right?
Yes, that's the
Oh,
first
yeah.
Rep it nah.
They're both very fitting.
So, of course, we had to have Lotor's parents involved in this somehow, right?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Because you wouldn't be Lotor without them, right?
Exactly.
So, in reality, what do your parents think of Lotor and the Generals?
They're super cool about it. Our mom is actually in the other room watching us right now. All the lights are off. I can just kind of see her staring at us.
Yeah.
It's not creepy. It's very supportive.
Our mom earlier today, while we were talking about this, was like, "You're gonna be on a podcast with Lotor people? That's amazing!" And we were like, "Yeah, Mom, we're gonna be on a podcast with Lotor people."
People who actually have had Lotor actually on the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's been super cool too. We've got to do some stuff with AJ too, and he's been really supportive of our band, and that's awesome for us as fans of his. Hearing Lotor and then getting to have him on one of our songs was just really cool.
The Rift.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. The Rift is a song that we wrote in the car, and it's about Lotor and the General's big show. And when we were writing this song, we knew it had to be epic. This is one of the only completely the bridge is a little silly, but the completely serious dramatic songs that we've written. And so we had this song and we just loved it. And we're like, what would be so cool is if we could get AJ to voice this dramatic Lotor speech. And we're like, there's no way that's going to happen. But, he had messaged us before and we had talked a little bit. So we reached out to him and he was like, yeah, sure, of course. And so we got him to record the part for the bridge. And I think the song is it's so much better because he's on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Coolest thing ever.
That is cool.
He was one of your biggest supporters when you first came out, especially on Twitter, I think, when he realized that there was a band called Lotor and the Generals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And I remember, wasn't it that the day we were set to release those first three songs, wasn't it he had unofficially declared it Lotor Day or something like that?
Yeah, we recorded the songs on November 4th, which is No 4 for Lotor. And so we tweeted at him. We're like, oh, hey, we're just recording these songs. And he retweeted it. I don't know what he thought. Because later when we actually posted, we're like, hey, we just released these songs at AJ. Look at this. Notice us. He was like, what? This is real? So, yeah, I don't know if he knew that we were doing it, but he definitely supported us the whole way, even without realizing.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
So how did you work that all out if you guys weren't in the same location? How did you record it all together?
He just we sent him kind of what we were going to do and where his part would be. And then he recorded it and he sent it back to us and then we edited it in.
Okay.
The magic of editing.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about technology and what you guys use in order to do your recordings?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So for the podcast, I use a MacBook Pro and I'm using GarageBand and I'm sort of feeding in through a channel through Skype, and then also I do my own channel through QuickTime Player Recorder. How does it work when you guys do it?
Yeah, so when we record our songs, we'll do like Pro Tools and the whole setup. But when we record our like our YouTube videos and things like that, we generally just go off of a phone recorder, and I'll put that into like Final Cut and edit some stuff, and then that's how we do the majority of our recordings.
Wow. The end results are great. I'm really, based on how you described it, I'm amazed at how great they turn out with the equipment you're using.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I would be interested in hearing what your recording sounds like on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to play a little bit of that song that you did with AJ called The Rift. Is that all right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to include the part where AJ comes in. Is that all right?
That's the best part.
We're all sold out. Remember, though, it's still not a huge gig. In the future, we'll have much bigger audiences.
Did you really invite Voltron, though? Seriously?
I just thought they could take a few notes from us.
It's our one big shot.
This is the moment that we've been preparing for.
Give it all we got.
After tonight, the world will never be the same.
It's our one big chance.
Nothing will stand between us and the galaxy.
Time to take a stance.
Let's show the world just what we're made of.
This is the rift. You don't get to tell me that it's okay to stay this way when I'm on the cusp of power. Now or never, and I'm never gonna quit. So just give in. This is our show. If you never see us live, you won't know. We're so tragically invested in this vision we're incapable of ever giving up. So turn it up. This is the rift.
We are Lotor and the Generals. This is the Rift.
So there you go. Must be pretty cool having the actual Lotor from Voltron Legendary Defender saying, "We are Lotor and the Generals."
Oh my gosh, we were
It was awesome.
running around the room when we heard it the first time.
Yeah, every time
Yeah.
it's like in our song, I'm like always smiling. It's the
Yeah.
coolest thing.
It just shows how cool he is, too, that, like, he saw this little band about a show that he's in from, like, a bunch of, like, teens on the internet, and he said,
Random kids.
how about I help these kids out? Like, that's cool of him.
That's really, really amazing.
Yes, he's been so good with us too. It's just amazing. He's one of the nicest people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's been cool following him and seeing like all the other stuff he's doing, the spoops, super cool. I think as like a creator, he probably like understands, what it's like to be making stuff, and I think that's maybe why I'm sure he's just a nice guy in general, but
Mm-hmm.
Especially with his generals.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I really appreciate puns.
It's true.
The other song that I wanted to play was another song that you did, and I'm not sure how this song came about. There's one called The Return of Voltron, Rise and Atone.
Oh, yeah.
What is that one from?
So we were asked by this group to do a song for their Voltron kind of season 8 fan project. And so they reached out to us. They were super nice. They're like, "Hey, Lotor and the Generals, we would love it if you could like make a song for our introduction and outro." And we were like, "Of course." We had this kind of idea for the Voltron band in our AU that we kind of had been working some stuff around. And so when they asked us to do it, we were like, sure. And we recorded this song as Lotor and the Generals, but really from the perspective of Voltron. And it's kind of their like form Voltron song.
Wow. That is really special for you guys to do that for somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's it was so cool that they asked us, and that group has been so like supportive of us. They're actually like helping us make a music video now, which is exciting. So I think in the Voltron like community, everyone is just super excited about creating stuff, and I feel like we've been able to do a lot of really cool collaborations just because everyone loves the show.
That's amazing. Very cool.
So this would be your first music video?
Yes, it would be, unless you count our lyric videos, which I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And it would actually show you guys performing the song?
Okay, well, that's the funny part. We decided that to record this music video, we are going to build our alternate universe in Minecraft and show scenes from that. So it's
wow.
Yeah, it's all going to be within Minecraft.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun.
It's hard. We have like a few hoops to go through with that because we're trying to like keep the illusion of being Lotor and the Generals, and we're also in quarantine, so we can't meet up. So we have to find some way to do it online. Well, we're playing Minecraft a lot, and we can make ourselves look like Lotor and the Generals in Minecraft. So, solution.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Wow.
We're going to be using greens and everything. It's going to be sweet.
So can I play a little bit of this song then?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is called The Return of Voltron Rise and Atone.
We're here to blow your mind. Yes, you may have heard the legends from 10,000 years ago. Well, Voltron's back and we're on the attack, and we're here to steal the show. Legends tell a tale, all our hearts combine. See the flash of light, here to blow your mind. Voltron, yeah, see us soaring through the atmosphere. See us standing up to hate and fear. We're gonna do it together. Voltron, yeah, we'll be blasting all through outer space. There's nothing in life that we can't face if we do it together.
That was really cool.
Oh my.
That was awesome.
Now, I've listened to most of your tracks on your YouTube channel, but I had not heard that one yet. That was so cool.
Thanks. We had a lot of fun making that one. We were jumping around when we were recording it. I don't know if you've heard the outro. Probably not, but I have to do this whole rap section, and it's a lot of fun.
We're all jumping stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to go back and listen to the rest of that on your YouTube channel. That is, wow. Just all the tracks that I've heard, just there's so much variety to them too. You know, I mean, it's you've got different styles going on in there and different vocal techniques and all that. It's just what a nice mix.
Thank you.
And you're keeping the theme of Lotor and the Generals alive here. You have Oriond and you have Kralzera. So there's all those things that we saw in the show. And then I was just wondering, have you guys done any salute to Nardi?
So in our AU, Nardi is a PI who has been hired by Haggar to kind of keep an eye on Lotor and the Generals when they're doing all this stuff, which we mentioned briefly in
Witch and Dad.
Right.
But we've never actually written a song about Nardi. We do have a song about Kova, but
Don't we have like one song written it's an unreleased one? It has like a little, I think my section of it has like a little blurb that I explain some stuff about Nardi.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I do think that we've sang that one before.
Mhm.
It's the letter to Haggar.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
You're right.
Yeah, so we actually gave Nardi a redemption arc in one of our YouTube songs. Very, very small, but it's like Lotor and the Generals write a letter to Haggar, and in like a little section from it, they're like, oh, by the way, Nardi's, she joined our team and she's spying on you now, or something like that. Because we like Nardi and we want her to be happy.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you were able to get Kova involved too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a very old cat, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But a cool cat.
Yeah. How old would you say you guys are in the band?
I think.
Well, we're all like high school, college age. In the band, in the AU, I would say it's probably about the same thing. I don't know if we've talked about this, but I always kind of imagine them as like dropping out of high school to go pursue their career as like musicians, but they really just work at the carnival or something.
On clear day.
Yes.
Love it.
If you could, is there any chance you can give us a taste of what's to come from Lotor and the Generals?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, this is a terrible start, but our favorite number is 12. And we just decided, like, we're just going to use 12 as much as we can. So we have a lot of songs that we've written, and we decided that we're going to pick 12 of our favorite songs, and we are going to record them. It's probably going to be more acoustic than our previous things, but we're going to record 12 songs as soon as we get out of quarantine and we can see each other again. Social distancing stinks.
Right.
But we have 12 songs in the works. So as soon as possible, we're going to be putting those out.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And are we going to consider this a themed album, or how are you going to release it?
I think it's going to be an album.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to have some slogan, like it's not a phase witch, it's not a fad dad, something like that.
Cool.
Love it.
I have to say, you guys have an excellent start to your careers here, because these are some amazing songs. And we, of course, want to share this with the listeners. So where can they find you on the internet?
So you can find us on our website, lotorandthegenerals.com. It has links to all of our social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify.
Okay, so lotorandthegenerals.com and all those other places, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Are you guys active on social media? Like, if somebody was to send something to you, how soon would you be able to respond?
Oh, we respond as soon as possible. We love when we get messages, when people tag us and stuff. Pretty much definitely within the day, if not within the hour.
Nice.
And how do you keep in touch with your fans other than social media? Do you have like a newsletter or anything like that?
No, we just tweet and hope they see it. Cross our fingers.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll see, I think, like videos or things that they'll post, and most of it's like on social media, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there ever a chance in like maybe your hometown you might put on a show?
So we've thought a lot about how to do a live show with still keeping the illusion and stuff. And we're kind of thinking about different ways to set it up where, we can maybe do like silhouettes or something. So we're talking about it. We're trying to figure stuff out. But I think, leave all options open.
That's exciting.
Okay.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I know how hard it is to get several people to come together and actually sound really good together. Because, Greg, we've tried that, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah. There's a reason why we have day jobs.
I also know how hard it is to put together like music videos and things like that, because we did a very special project, a thank you project for the creators of Voltron Legendary Defender, when we did our thank you video that was coming from the fans all over the world when they sent us in their videos. And we made 2 videos. We made one that was like a music video with Shinedown's Unity playing the background music. And then also one that just included every single one of their videos from around the world. And it was like over 300 people.
Wow.
So it's really not an easy job to put together something like that. And I'm very much inspired by what you guys have done with Lotor and the Generals. And I hope you continue to do it, because we're looking for more.
Thanks. Well, we definitely have more stuff that we want to do. So
Yeah. We're absolutely going to continue on.
Excellent.
And we appreciate you coming on our 200th episode of Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast.
Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on the 200th episode. We called before we did this podcast, and we were like, did you guys realize that this is the 200th episode? I mean, that's such a big deal. We know, how much dedication it takes and how much love you guys have put into this. So just like congratulations and thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
It was such a treat to meet all of you online and to listen to your music and to know that there's more to come. So thanks again.
Thank you guys so much.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
And we're back.
We're back. So what did you think of Lotor and the Generals?
Oh, I love Lotor and the Generals. And here's the thing. I not only love their music, and I love their song selection because they've done some things that are very closely, referencing everything that happened in Voltron Legendary Defender. But it's the idea that the characters in the band are the characters from the show.
Yeah. I will tell you that I had heard of Lotor and the Generals for quite a long time, but it wasn't until we had them lined up to appear on the podcast that I finally listened to their music, and my goodness, they are so good.
Yeah, they are a lot of talented young musicians there.
Yeah, my goodness. They're just amazing.
And here's the thing, to be able to hold that together, despite the fact that we're going through this pandemic and everything, and I have heard lots of stories about bands trying to rehearse together and stuff like that, and it just does not work out really well.
Right.
So, for them to be able to hold all of this together while that pandemic is going on, and we know that when it's all over and they're able to start rehearsing together, they're going to come out with some really cool stuff because they mentioned it on our podcast.
Yes, yes.
And the link here for getting Lotor and the Generals and our guests that are coming up after this was AJ Locascio.
Yeah.
Because AJ Locascio
Kevin Bacon kind of thing.
Yes. Because he did that collaboration with Lotor and the Generals. And he helped get together the rest of the people that are going to be joining us after this.
And what a group of people they are. We've had them all on the podcast before, but never all together like this.
That's right.
Wow. I even after we spoke with them, because we've already recorded that part, spoiler, even after it was all over, I remember sitting there thinking, wow, we just did that thing.
Yes. And it worked.
It did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is our first time trying it with Zoom. So for it to work out the way it did is amazing. And then for it to come out so well, I think the people who listen to this podcast are going to really see this as a 200th episode celebration.
Yes.
Because this is a once in a lifetime thing to have this group together all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and what a lot of fun. We certainly hope our listeners enjoyed as much as we did.
Yes. So without further ado, and because you're going to really enjoy this second part of this podcast, we have joining us on the 200th episode of Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast, AJ Locascio, Kimberly Brooks, Jeremy Shada, Josh Keaton, Tyler Labine, and Bex Taylor-Klaus.
Wow, what a lineup.
This has been an amazing thing, and I can't wait for you guys to see this, so here we go.
All right, let's do it.
I'm glad you guys can all join us for our 200th episode. This is a completely amazing grouping we got here, so thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Of course.
I'm so happy.
It only took a couple weeks for us all to communicate.
Well, given the number of people, that's not bad.
But I mean
you were all busy people.
Just me and AJ. I mean, like this is a much bigger group, and I'm glad that we took.
I got the text from Kimberly like what 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
oh sweet, cool. I'll be there.
I'm
I got it.
I'm so glad.
Thank you so much.
I'm
you're
glad
welcome.
well, anyway, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, we're glad too. What we'd like to do is we'd like to catch up with all you guys because every time we talked to you guys before, there was always some kind of NDA involved. No NDAs anymore.
Well, that's...
That you know of.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I know you guys are involved in lots of different projects. Are you okay there, Bex?
You just froze.
Completely.
Emotionally, or was it?
Brain just, I got like the pig
Short-
hack in my
She
head.
heard,
Just,
she heard the word NDA and she just got triggered. It's just gone.
Does not compute. Yeah.
Like how a character freezes at the end of an episode.
yeah.
So Bex, let's start with you. You've been
Why?
you've been playing a deputy on TV, right?
Yep.
Can you tell us more about it?
Well, in that show, what we were trying to do was show the reality, and we didn't get the chance to have a second season and really go in on the stories that we were there for, that we were setting up. So we got to have a really impactful episode about how a LA sheriff's deputy out of uniform got a gun to his head by an LAPD officer, and we got to throw that storyline in there and kind of show the reality of the situation before all the trauma porn videos started going around. But we did not get chosen to continue this storyline, and that was actually before
COVID happened.
before the boiling point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it
It was
really?
before the boiling point.
Was
Yeah,
it
it was. It was dumped before the boiling point. Interestingly enough,
I'm sorry.
which I've been so curious this whole time about how that would go, because our showrunner is a Black queer woman, and we actually have these powerful representative characters that we were kind of building to.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see, I think about it sometimes nowadays, whether anyone would take a chance on a season 2, given what's happening.
I mean, I think it'd be a brave thing to do, for sure. Feels like the network really misread the room. Definitely a good opportunity for some good poignant television.
I mean, just as always in Hollywood, there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
There's a lot of reasons to sign an NDA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
True that.
Is there anything else that you don't have an NDA on that you can tell us about that you're involved with or hoping to be involved with?
Well, everything that I was working on kind of shut down.
Uh-huh.
Really? No way. Say it.
I keep getting these texts from people being like, I'm just in a dark place. I just lost my job and I'm struggling to find one. I'm like, oh, you're so special. Yes, nobody else feels like that right now.
Wow.
Like, I get what you're feeling, but only you're feeling it. But yeah, I wish I could give you some juicy info, but we're all out here kind of doing what we can and trying to put our time into things that matter.
Totally.
Yeah.
And sometimes finding a job isn't quite as important as speaking against power. Speaking truth to power is kind of a big priority.
Yeah.
Sure is.
So while the anxiety is always going to be there because I'm inherently anxious, it's okay not to have a job right now and not to have a second prospect, because there's so much going on that's infinitely more important.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're all in it together. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the other thing.
Again. Have the luxury of ignoring it anymore.
I know.
We have
It's in
to
our.
dance
It was
now.
like it's like the perfect storm. You know, like we're here. We got to listen.
Yeah.
Now it's otherwise we're too busy and too distracted. So it's just interesting the timing of it. I mean, it's going to be a blessing. I think even. I don't want to get political. I was going to say everything is happening for a
Everything's
reason
political.
because it's like reaching a boiling point.
Yeah.
But we need these catalysts, like certain politicians, to make us so angry that we actually start to do things, you know? So I feel like we're at a point where we have to listen. And like you said, it's time. you know? And
Whoa.
maybe they'll bring your. Whoa!
Sorry,
Hey! We're going in.
Goodbye.
He ran away. We scared him.
He's like, oh shit.
He heard politics and ran.
He just wanted to pop in and leave.
Get some light.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi guys, I'm sorry. I was making dinner for the family, and
Of course.
Totally dude.
Well, we figured.
I saw the messages like, "Hey man, you coming? Are you sleeping? Are you battling the kids?" All of the above.
Yes.
Tyler, so happy to see you.
Nice to see you guys. Oh my gosh, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah.
All things considered.
We're all
Are you inside of like a reality void or some sort of like
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm just up in space in a capsule. I feel like I'm in a.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
He's Lotor.
Yeah.
I'm in a pillow fort.
Everyone's in their home recording studio, huh?
Yeah.
I'm in a pillow fort. It's some cute shit.
I want to be in your pillow
God.
fort with you.
I want to be there.
I love your
Tyler,
pillow
can you
fort.
see that guy?
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
know that guy.
Okay.
We're mild acquaintances, me and that guy.
Yeah.
How what did I miss? What have you guys been chatting about?
We just started.
Yeah, we
Catching
really.
up on life.
Yeah, it was funny. My kids actually today were watching Voltron.
Wow.
They still haven't gotten through the whole season. It's like it's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And they don't watch much TV, so they just kind of take in a few episodes here and there. And today, my daughter and my son came out and they said, "Lotor's bad." I was like, I know. They were like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yes.
Oh man,
And
that's
he
subjective.
kissed Allura. Oh, poor Lance. I'm like, oh, you guys
They
are in
said the
for it.
same thing Allura said. Like,
Yeah.
Lotor's bad.
Lotor's bad.
Oh my
Lotor's
God, I
bad.
love it.
I felt like I was like, yeah, everybody knows that, you did
Don't you use Twitter?
yeah. Where have you been?
Tyler just roasting
Been
his
bad since 1984.
Yeah, exactly. We're not reinventing the Lotor wheel here.
He was born bad. Yeah. Lotor.
I mean, look at him. Come on, he reeks of bad.
Yeah.
It's the little hair that goes in front.
Yeah.
It's the
Yep.
fire.
All those sharp, dangerous
One
edges.
is out of place.
Yeah. I feel like anybody, by that I was gonna say anybody with white hair is bad, but you can't say that because that's Shiro, that's Allura.
Yeah, right? They broke
Everyone
the
over
white hair
60.
rule.
in anime world, not in real life. No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have white hair.
Anybody
Deep
I just
in
have
there.
hair now. Like,
Yeah. Tyler, you just go to a retirement home and you're like, look at all these villains.
Devil.
They're all
White
scheming.
Every time he goes to an establishment, anyone here with an AARP card? I don't like you.
Ah.
Yeah, dead to me.
Know your games.
So let's go over to Josh now.
okay.
I'm starting from the top row and working my way clockwise. So I went with Bex and now I'll go with Josh. So Josh,
Yes.
we know that you definitely have Marvel's Iron Man VR coming out soon.
Yes, it comes out July 3rd, and I play Tony Stark in that. And
Yeah, go
So
Tony.
cool.
crazy because it's a
You're the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist?
What a stretch.
Awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's coming out on the 3rd of July, and that's it's crazy because it's VR. So you actually play as me, and they scanned in my head. So when you see
Really?
in the game, it's me as Tony, which is insane.
That's awesome.
Yes,
That's
and
so cool.
you actually like enter my body in the game. You are me.
Can
Do you
finally
feel that
wear
every
your
time
skin.
someone plays?
A little bit.
Uncomfortable.
Signed
Yeah.
it.
It depends on how the entry occurs, right? I mean,
I actually played the demo on the PlayStation VR, so
How'd you like it?
I was you.
Very.
So it was very cool.
Like,
And
I know.
Creepy.
I gotta
How many
say,
of us can
Never
exist
saying it
once?
that way and not like I was inside you.
The jokes write themselves. It's just
My guy goes into your yard.
A robot.
Classic.
Empty space.
I forgot about that.
We will never forget about that.
No.
I did already. I delete all my memories at the end of the day. Like I just drag it to the trash. My friends are constantly like, "How do you not remember that?" I'm like,
I do not possess that skill set. I wish I did.
the white memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
do
do
a lot of arguments.
They just kind of go. They leave me.
That's so zen. That's so zen. I hold on to everything.
I try not to. I try to forget.
My brain's like Swiss cheese.
Delicious.
Some things sometimes get some things get stuck in there sometimes, but usually it's just like, oh.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, just that, and then now been working a lot out of the house, like I'm sure everybody else. I'm remodeling my son's room because he's basically in a room that was a baby room that used to be an office, so it never really had a theme or anything. And my daughter's got a really cool room that I made all nice, and so it's his turn now. So I've been.
What's the theme?
Yeah,
he's sitting in the room right now.
He likes.
Yeah. The theme is solitary.
The theme is sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His bed is just a tank of water.
I imagine your whole house looks like that, Josh. Your whole house is just one totally unidentifiable.
This is my house.
Yeah, he's in an Apple store.
Yeah.
I don't
An Apple store.
Just kind of go out of existence for a few hours and then I just pop it in. Yeah.
That's why you're so zen, man.
Yeah, man, just chilling. But yeah, so I've been drywalling and painting. Hopefully, I'll have the painting done today. After this, I'm gonna be up all night, and then tomorrow I'll do some baseboard moldings and just been doing house stuff because I can't really leave. So
Yeah. All right. And like you said, you had stopped doing the storybook reading for a while there.
Yeah, it the weeks just got really busy out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden, I think a lot of the productions figured out how they could actually do words, and a bunch of things that had been gone for pretty much all of March started coming in, and yeah, so time just got crazy, and then all the the unrest and everything. It's been hard to find the motivation to do it just from being busy and tired, but also. With everything happening, I maybe find some more poignant books. Hey, I love your hat.
Hey, ooh, good one.
I was wearing this the whole time.
Whole time.
Now I want to go
Mine's
get
all the way
mine.
upstairs.
Oh wow, mine's upstairs too. I'm too lazy. I want to go though.
It looked like Mark just pulled that out of nothing.
Yeah,
I know.
I never got a hat. This is the only thing in my booth is this giant Michelangelo that my friend got me.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing to have, though. If you're gonna have
That's
one.
all.
Yeah.
That's if you got to have
Impressive.
something.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yes. That's you.
Ah.
I got that thing from Monsters and Mana.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Nice.
god.
I've got a headless.
Yes.
So left out.
Where's your giant toy you keep next to your microphone, Jeremy?
I should put mine together.
Heroes.
This is Meklevar's axe.
Clearly I'm doing it wrong.
And I tiny little skeleton hands.
All
Oh,
right.
I love that.
I got this, Laura.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Every time I play an axe wielder in Dungeons and Dragons, I have to bring that out.
Oh, that's a good
nice.
one.
I love it. It's a little baby.
It's a requirement.
I love that you guys love all your toys.
Oh, I also love
The
this.
prized possession around my house. Remember that guy that gave us all those to scale Bayards?
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name now, but that guy was amazing. And my kids.
Was that Billy the Brick cosplay?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. My kid. We
had
pull it
him
out
on the
like once a
podcast.
month, and it's like this great reverent moment where they pull it out, and it's like everyone can touch it for about 10 seconds, then it goes back in the box. And I think they
Mine
think it actually
immediately.
works. Like if they can learn to actually pilot. Yeah.
I broke mine immediately.
Oh no, you would.
Oh,
Makes perfect sense.
You played with your
No,
toys.
Bex.
I play with my toys.
Man, you gotta live.
I play hard.
Did
True.
you use it
Good
on
old
Lance
school. Be right
again?
back.
I did.
It's a very Pidge thing to have happen, though.
It really is. And unfortunately, unlike Pidge, I couldn't fix it.
I was gonna say, did you build like a better and more techie version of it after you broke it?
No, I just tried to use super glue and cried when it failed.
Oh no.
Aww.
So I'm gonna kick it. I'm gonna
Real
kick
life.
it old school.
Nice.
And
Wow.
you pop off the center part and collapse it together.
Yes.
there you go.
Oh,
Oh, snap.
This is a fan made by Jimmy Miller in Ohio. So
Oh,
there you
That's
go.
really cool.
that's a great.
Awesome.
Anyway,
One thing that amazed me the whole time that Voltron Legendary Defender was on the air is just how many artists there were for Voltron, and just how much came out of the woodwork. It was amazing. You see the stuff behind me. I mean, that was 5 artists that came together to form Voltron for our 5th anniversary. So that was just amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, the amount
love
of
that.
fan art still that I get sent to me, and the Instagram fan art and posts and Twitter are like, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
Although things went, I'm sure we'll get into it later, when the whole fandom went dark on everybody for a month or two after. I got some pretty disturbing fan art then. saw some pretty graphic, violent,
The one part of the fandom
hypersexualized,
that
weird
stayed
fan art.
wholesome. The
What's that?
one part of the fandom that stayed wholesome through all of
Yes.
it was plants.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
clans.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Plants was always like a wholesome little garden.
Yes.
And if you were ever overwhelmed by the craziness of the fandom, you could go to the little plants, and everyone was like, "They're just cute."
No, when Hids
Plants-
got weird, I
shippers,
I
the
couldn't
best.
see that. I couldn't look
I
at that
bounced.
stuff.
I bounced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually pieced
Got
out on the
hentai.
whole. I pieced out on the whole fandom like about a month after the last season. I basically wrote a giant like, "Hey, to the people who love the show, I love you. To everybody else, fuck off." Yeah, I've had it. Sorry, it's a cartoon. I don't want to get into this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
People
So
didn't like that
Kimberly-
either. Who knew?
Kimberly, how has this been for you the last few months?
Well, I was gonna just read. I don't have my glasses on, dang it. But from a cameo request that I got yesterday, it says, and I don't know how to answer it, so I need help. The missing scene. Please, I was deeply hurt by the ending of season 6. It looks to me like the team abandoned Karan to a preventable, unmourned death because, quote, clones are things and evil. Could Allura talk to Karan's?
You mean Kuron?
Well, there's clones.
Kuron.
Was it Karan or Karon?
Oh, Karon. They're
the
spelled
clone of Shiro.
Karon.
That's
Kuron?
that's the clone. That's the
Yeah.
clone.
The clone. Okay.
Clone
Could-
had to die.
I don't know
Sorry.
what's going on. Could Allura talk to Karan's soul and show that that they love him too?
Wait, but Kuron didn't
luck.
have a soul. He was a clone.
He was a clone.
I don't
Good answer.
So, like,
Good
They say
answer.
that.
Whole conversation about do clones
If we're
have
gonna-
souls? That's
If
all.
we're
What
gonna
about
talk
Dolly the
okay,
sheep?
So
She
the
has a
clone
soul.
soul would be a cloned Shiro soul.
So yeah,
Oh,
So it's
yes.
retrievable.
right. And they
It's
merged.
100% retrievable.
They
Okay.
This is where I check out. This is what I'm talking about. It's pointless. This doesn't make any
They
sense.
did
This
a
is-
soul meld.
I need the cheat sheet. I mean,
Yeah.
when someone said, like, how am I supposed to answer that? I don't know.
You're like,
Here's
I
how I
just read
feel when
lines.
people are like, it hurt my feelings,
Yes.
the ending of this. I'm like, I'm sorry your feelings were hurt. At this point, that's a choice because none of it was ever personal.
Right.
It's not about you. It's about,
It's
honestly,
a story.
it's about the people who own the rights to this show.
Right.
And what they want to see.
Story. Story. Story.
That's the way Hollywood works.
That's how the story went. Oshiro died, and that was the end of that. We moved on.
And then we move forward.
So have there been other franchises you guys have been working on that have had similar types of, fandom, interest in all the characters to that degree?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Which ones?
For me, it was Steven Universe is another one that's got. But I felt, I'm, I was a recurring character, but generally speaking, I felt a lot of love, even though she wasn't. I don't know. Jasper
Needed help.
She needs a little help.
She needs help.
Yeah, but that was another show that the fans really seemed to identify with the characters, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
my other one was Scream.
Scream?
Oh yeah, that's a pretty heavily
That's big.
protected, guarded franchise, isn't it?
Yeah, the Scream fandom got funky.
What happened?
Crazy.
Well, we had 2 seasons, and we got picked up for a 3rd season, and then
I remember this. Yeah.
and then understandably, they got in trouble for only killing off our characters of color, or well, not only, but every time we had a character of color join, they would die.
Wow, seriously?
Except one. And so this is something that like was constantly a thing that we were like,
It's like,
hey,
don't do that.
So in an overcompensation move, a month before scheduled to get ready and like we gotta go or we gotta not go.
Right.
They waited until like the month before, and they were like, okay, so new characters, new storyline, new town, new everything for the 3rd season. Y'all are released from your contracts. We're good.
Wow.
And the fandom exploded. The fandom just lost their shit. They were like, we have invested 2 seasons in these characters. The least you could do is kill them off and replace them with these new characters. At least tie in the story. Everybody was so angry.
Yeah.
For me, I'd say it was
wow.
Spectacular Spider-Man. When that went away, I had done a couple of episodes on another show called Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, where I was Spider-Man in that. And when they basically Disney bought the show so that they could kill it and come out with the show. And they got the Spider-Man actor for the new show to basically dub over the episodes that I did for Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And they didn't even tell me about it. Like the first I heard about it was watching the show, where I was expecting to hear my voice, and it would be like the last 2 things I ever voiced as Spider-Man, and it was somebody else. And so I just thought about it, I'm like, well, that sucks. They dubbed over my audio. I probably shouldn't have done that, but like the fandom went nuts, and they were like, oh my God, I hate that they did that. And they were like so mad at all the Marvel people, and oh man.
That's messed up.
Can of worms. But yeah.
But that's the thing, is like fandoms will explode, and the thing is, we cannot tell you what's happening behind the scenes. And we need you to understand that there's a lot.
Right.
The people you think are in control are not in control. You don't know how all of the intricacies work. So please.
Yeah. Don't talk to me ever as an actor about, your issues with the way the intellectual property was handled. I have nothing to do with that.
Right.
Like I did Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the pretty big franchise, Planet of the Apes. I did the movie. I did the first reboot, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the new James Franco. And even in success, that movie was a huge success. People are nuts. People, like, I basically played Patient X. I killed the human race. And like people like,
thanks.
You're welcome. It was a sneeze, all right? It was a sneeze. It could have happened to anybody. And people take it personally. People think it's like something to actually be mad at me about and confront me about on the street. People also, it was mostly old, like 50-plus-year-old white guys who loved, that's such a beloved franchise. I would say even older, actually. Mm-hmm. And it just like, it was like the existence of it was an affront. Why does this even have to be a thing? It was a perfect franchise. I'm like, was it?
Wow.
Was it really? I have an experience from the other side of that. There's a show that my wife and I used to watch on Netflix. It was basically a docu-series about the life of Celia Cruz, who is a Latin singer.
Yeah,
is a Latin singer. And this was a great show. It was a really, really good show. And it went for like over like 100 episodes or some crazy number of episodes. Wow. But the last season, they basically, I guess, wanted to play some of the characters older and have a flash forward in time. So they got rid of the Celia Cruz character, who was like the best part of the show, and hired an older person. But here's the weird thing. Like, they only recast like 4 or 5 of the characters, but then age progressed like everybody else in the show. So like the people who you really liked, they totally got rid of. And it was some random new people. And I was like, what are you doing? And I had to hate watch the last season because I had invested so much time in this show already and like got to this point, and I needed to see how it ended. But I'm like, these are different people. This is
God,
not who I started the show with. And
Right.
Yeah, I was salty about that.
I've been involved in those creative conversations. I had my show Deadbeat on Hulu, and after season 2, Hulu said fire everybody except for Tyler, and let's like reboot the show. And we were like, why? And they fired these other actors, and just kind of. And I remember sitting there in conversations while we were finishing season 2, because I was the executive producer on the show, where the people, the powers that be, and the way they talk about the audience is so dismissive. Like it couldn't matter less that the people have invested time or energy or whatever. It's just like, and like they won't even notice. I mean, it's literally that ignorant. They're kind of like, people, they'll be mad for an episode, and then they'll be like, oh, I don't even remember what that other actor looked like. And it's like, have you ever watched TV? Have you ever watched a movie?
Have you ever watched
what it's like to enjoy a performance
single
by somebody?
show?
Yeah.
It's like the people with the money, I think, are just like a different ilk. You know, they just don't get it. They don't understand what it's like to be a fan.
By the way, you are doing an awesome job on New Amsterdam.
Thank you.
Character.
Oh, I didn't know.
Thank you.
I gotta watch
We got picked up for 3 more seasons.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Congrats.
So we're going
congrats.
for 3 more. Yeah, as long as everybody in New York doesn't die, then I can go back there and do season 3. It's pretty insane.
Oh, are you
It's
back
like
out here?
I'm in Ojai. I live in Ojai, but yeah, I left New York like 3.5 months ago. Yeah. Oh hi. Oh hi, Josh. Hi.
I love it up
I
there.
didn't mean to be flip about the virus, by the way. I just mean that the state of New York is really bad, and I'm having all these disheartening conversations again with people who don't really care that much about anything except for making more money. And they're talking about me going there and basically being quarantined with a set escort for 10 months, not able to travel back and forth between California and see my family and go through these quarantine pods. And I'm just like, that's not even a possibility.
Wow.
You can't expect anybody's going to do that. And I had a conversation with them, and it was like, I got that producer speak like, well, it's very much in the conversation. You know, it's very much something we're talking about. Wait, what part? The part where you're going to try and separate me from my family for 10 months, or the part where you're going to make me live in a quarantine safe location for 10 months in New York with an escort to and from set and a personal nurse, and like it's insane. All of it so they can go back into production in August so that we can have a fall season. And I'm like, no one cares about seasons. There's no seasons anymore.
Yeah. Just put out some fucking rewatch. Like you'll release it when you release it, and people will watch it then. We don't have time zones, time cycles like we used to.
Right.
And
everything's readily available.
Yes, you can rewatch, you can binge, you can fan
schedule it,
whatever you want. Yeah.
In the age of streaming, no one really cares about like the fall, spring season. Like it doesn't.
It's over.
You know who cares about that? Like
the networks are still going to cling to it.
Yeah.
100-year-old relationships with these networks where they're like that. It's like it's the ad men.
Yes.
Like, man, you gotta lose that. You gotta lose that thing. Like the fact that there's like a 30-day metric now. You know, like showing what people's viewing habits are 30 days out from your live viewing time is like proof right there. Nobody cares what your live numbers are. Right. Nobody, but they still have.
And here's the thing: you can put something online, and people will find it 3 years down the line. Lizzo made half of her popular songs 3 years before they became popular.
And then they caught on. I know. It's like things don't happen when you like make them happen anymore. Right. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the things became cult hits long after they left the theaters and they went on video.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite movies, favorite shows are things that you feel like you discover, you know?
Like Galaxy Quest is one of my favorites.
I just watched the documentary, the Galaxy Quest documentary last night. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, wow.
It was great. I mean, that movie is one of the, it's a perfect film.
Classic.
I've never seen Galaxy Quest. I got to see it.
Really?
It is the best Star Trek movie ever made.
Yeah,
it's really ahead of its time too. There's a lot of jokes in there that are super topical now. You know.
Dude,
I should rewatch that.
All the Comic-Con stuff in that movie makes me laugh so
hard.
I know.
Yes.
Every single time the man comes up and he's like, "I grabbed Thor's hammer," he just takes the headshot.
So I have been compared by multiple people to the nerd in that movie who knows the blueprints of the spaceship. And I was okay with that.
Yeah, I was just saying, I wonder why. All the Voltron stuff.
Being in,
But AJ, don't you have like a miniature show that you're putting on?
Yes. It's taking forever to get done, but yeah. Well,
Can
so
you tell us where that's at right now?
I'd love to know. So I might have talked about this the last time I was on. I don't even remember. It's been so long. So
you did.
I did. Wow. So last Halloween we did a Kickstarter or Indiegogo to do this little Halloween.
Oh,
show.
this thing. Yeah,
We wrote it and pitched it. It was supposed to be a thing that a studio was looking at, and they just kept, pulling our chain or whatever, dragging us along. And we're like, screw it, we'll make it on our own. So last Halloween, we shot this, and it was before Halloween. It was supposed to be out that Halloween, but it turns out that tracking little doll faces that move really quickly takes a crazy amount of time. So my friends Justin and Taylor are still trying to track these animated faces onto these tiny erratic puppets. So it will hopefully be out by Halloween, but I'm just sitting, because I did my stuff. We shot it, I built all the sets, and now I'm just like, chomping at the bit to have it out there. But yeah.
You're in composite purgatory.
Yeah. Just waiting for it to exist. So.
I can't wait to see it, man. I've been excited about this.
Oh, thank you. Me too. I'm just like, is it done? So.
It's gonna be freaking
it's
rad.
Gonna be cool. It's gonna be worth it, man. When it's done, AJ, you're gonna be super happy and proud, man. That's huge.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like when it comes out, people will be like, that was like 3 minutes. I'm like, yeah. That's all we can afford to do.
Anything that you have a passion for that you work till the end is worth it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that.
Anything worthwhile takes time. Takes time.
Yeah, totally.
Especially animation, man. Ask Pixar. What is it, 8 years? Every 8 years they make a movie? It's like, it takes time, man.
They're like average production span, I think, is like 5 years start to finish. Some take like 2 years longer, some barely.
Yeah.
Like
crazy, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's why we went with little puppets. I was like, this will be easy. We'll just track the faces on, like use a Snapchat app that'll track it on. And apparently that's not a thing. So
littler is harder.
Apparently there's a lot of facial recognition apps out there you can use.
Oh yeah.
Sadly, these things don't have real. If we put like a really good face on the dolls, like a horrifying, like Abraham Lincoln, maybe tracked that. But because it's dolls and a ghost and stuff, it's just the programs are just like, we have no idea what's happening. So it's
they can all be Woody Harrelson.
Right? Yeah, just a printed hard Woody Harrelson face on a ghost.
With the tongue.
Oh no.
So Jeremy,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, Jeremy, you're in the center of the grouping for me. I don't know where you are for everybody else, but
stop it. I feel honored.
You're center for me too.
Yeah, you're in the dead center. Me too.
Lance is the center of everyone's universe. So
keep them coming, but stop it.
So the last time I saw you was at Keystone Comic-Con.
I honestly don't even know how long ago that was. When was that? It's been a.
That was like 2 years ago.
Okay, it's been a minute. Oh man,
everything feels like 2 years ago right now.
I know,
right?
Yesterday feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
I think since then, I mean, we finished up obviously this show. I went back and did for HBO Max. We did like 4 hour long, brand new like Adventure Time specials. After being done with it for like 2 or 3 years, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing like 4 hour long specials," and I was like, "Really? All right."
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's super fun. I think the first one's supposed to pretty much be pretty close to launch, I think. And then like each special is centered around like a different main character. It's like the final special is like an hour of like just Finn and Jake, like way down the road. So that's cool. It's fun. And then amongst all that, I booked a new Netflix series.
Nice.
That I'm one of
That's
the
awesome.
that I'm one of the leads in, and it's all about a band. It's all about a band, which is fun. My character is a bass player who also sings, which is pretty perfect because that's what I'm doing.
That's so cool.
It's
There's no
really
typecasting there.
Yeah, a little bit of typecasting.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. We shot our whole first season. It's supposed to come out, I think.
What's it called, Jeremy?
I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this, but
don't say it. Don't say it.
No, it's fine. I think people have said it, so I'm not even worried about it. It's called Julie and the Phantoms, and I'm one of the Phantoms.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That sounds great.
It's gonna be really fun. I think it's kind of supposed to be targeted at like teens / like kids and family, kind of all over the demographic. But
it's gonna have a Voltron fandom.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
100%. My character is unintentionally very Lance-like. He's
unintentionally
very
sure.
Yeah, he should be.
Sure.
Is there a touch of hubris in there?
Touch of hubris in there. He's very flirty. He's very dumb at times, but like the lovable goof. It's a blast. So yeah, the first season I think comes out in late August or early September, and then we're kind of already secretly on pre-production on our second season, which is so weird because like the show I think is technically not been announced yet, but we're like already in pre on like our season 2. It's just a weird thing when you're that far through something, but like it hasn't even been announced. So people
that is.
You're in a total bubble. You're in a vacuum, man. Enjoy it while you can. You guys will probably even get to like creatively be even more free with season 2.
Oh, totally.
Because no one else seen the show yet.
But you were all like that with Voltron, right? I mean, how in the can was that show when it was announced in 2016?
We had 3 seasons in the can?
Yeah,
we were like 3 seasons.
We were way ahead.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, what about Make Out Monday, man? What's happening with your band?
So I mean, really, it's just been kind of more or less on I guess on hold, kind of, just because of everything and being in different locations and the fact that we can't like physically be in person. And I was also like out shooting the show for 6 months, so that kind of we recorded a little bit of stuff right before then, so we've been just kind of sparsing out song releases, just kind of dropping singles here and there, just to kind of I guess tide people over, just to have something to throw out there. But I mean, we haven't been actively in the studio in a while just because of everything, so that makes it hard for sure.
We just did another portion of the 200th anniversary. I mean, the 200th episode here was
200th anniversary.
Sorry.
We're all dead.
Whoa!
You whippersnappers!
The other portion of the 200th episode was with Lotor and the Generals, and AJ did a collaboration with them.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I don't remember what I did, but I
A
did.
collabo.
Again, I delete memories.
I did something though.
Yeah, I know I was a part of something. Yeah, I think I missed. I was supposed to be part of that podcast, and I think I fell asleep on the couch.
That's okay.
That keeps happening to me.
The
Where my
portion
like
that you
dog
did
will get cuddly, and I'm like, well, nothing's happening today. And then
you did a little Lotor voice about 3/4 of the way through the song, and it was all like spoken word.
The speech, yes.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Well, thank you.
and just hearing you say Lotor and the Generals was just amazing.
They're very, very talented. I just actually reposted one of the band members' songs today. They're incredibly talented.
That's a band right there, Lotor and the Generals.
Oh yeah.
I've ever heard.
So we did ask the Voltron fans to send us in their own minds which episodes of the 200 they like the most, that they'd like to see again, or something they've never seen that they'd like to see for the first time. So I'm going to read a few of these, and then one of them has a little game that we can play.
Okay.
It's
like games.
It's a would you rather game.
I'm game.
Oh.
So we'll get to that game, but first I wanted to go through some of the Voltron fans. Hey, Mark and Greg, congrats on reaching another milestone in the podcast. I would like to see you guys do some episode reviews of Voltron Force. If you can, an interview with Stephen Yan or all the other VLD voice casts that haven't been featured yet.
Hey.
So thank you, Kajira. Hey, it's a human being named Abby. I've enjoyed your podcast so much, and something I think would be cool is if you were able to get some of the cast to do what Josh Keaton did and read a short book. Something like that would be really cool. Or, you could start a Voltron D&D campaign and do it over the podcast. Keep up the good work and be excellent to each other.
Please, wait. No, D&D, what? I'm listening.
Is that a thing? Have people done could you do that as a VLD Dungeons campaign?
Well, look,
Bex is ready.
We got Mechlavar over here with the light up axe over there.
Yeah.
I didn't see that lit up.
I
That's
want
amazing.
that.
So Kinsey said, I really enjoyed the episode with AJ Locascio. Just talking with him and about his character and our roles he played was great. Thank you so much. Congrats on 200. So there you go, AJ. One.
I like that one the best. I don't know why.
You would.
Oh, but I like that one.
Stop it, Kim.
Jason Meyer says, just some things I'd like to see for future episodes. Mystery Science Theater 3000 skewering reviews of episodes. Good episodes and bad episodes.
That's cool.
Well, there's no bad episodes.
Yeah,
who said that? Kill him.
Wasn't me.
Or you guys
Dougie.
naming your top 10 most liked and top 10 most disliked episodes, or how you would do hypothetical rewrites of episodes. Oh, and just for humor, I took the liberty to compose a list of items for a Lion Voltron drinking game, which I will attach.
Uh-oh.
I feel like if it's anytime you see a lion, you're dead. I mean,
you're gonna die.
You're like 5 minutes, you're gone.
So
that's it.
So some of the things in a Voltron drinking game, when Keith gives the typical forming Voltron instructions.
Okay, well that's a lot.
Whenever the team says, let's go Voltron Force in unison.
Puppy.
Whenever Princess Allura or Pidge have a conversation with the space mice. every time Lotor hits on or fantasizes about Allura.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Whenever Lance makes a wisecrack.
That's a lot too.
Oh, you're
gonna die.
You're dead.
You're dead.
That's death.
Every
It's
time
like
someone
drinking every.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Oh no, that wasn't me. That was Bex.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bex.
Say it.
Or whenever Blazing Sword is formed. So those are some of them.
Oh, Blazing Sword.
So
this is all from the original Voltron, right?
That does seem a little skewed toward the original show.
But it could be adapted for VLD.
Yeah.
So
Blazing Sword doesn't happen often enough to actually hurt you.
Yeah.
I wish Lotor fantasized more. If we got little dream sequences, little thought bubble, I can go.
Well, what if it was
like
every
Lance.
time Blazing Sword was formed, you have to bong a Mickey of vodka. Then it has some impact, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
The dream
It doesn't
sequence.
come up often, but when it does, it hits hard.
It's a big
Yes.
one. It's a doozy. Everyone's
Watch
like,
out
"Oh,
for that one.
shit."
The dream sequence could have been karaoke on Clear Day, where you guys would have gotten your musical episode.
Oh, that would have been.
Oh.
Musical
That would have been
episode.
fun.
We did all ask
opportunity.
multiple times. We're like, we're gonna do a musical episode, right? And that didn't happen.
Yeah, why?
I thought we were. I thought for sure that would happen, but
Totally, yeah.
That would have been so great.
I think they heard me like singing in my car and were like, "Oh God, no!" Sorry.
Ooh, I remember calling you're welcome, and you were fine.
It's not.
Yeah.
So this dog thinks he's a cat. Every time I'm like in a workspace, he's like, "No, this is my space to sit now."
Kitty dog.
Do
He's
you
so
still have the
confused.
rabbits, Bex? Are the rabbits still there?
Yes, we've still got 3 foster bunnies, and
That's-
they're ready for adoption. So help.
I like your doggy though.
He's a good boy.
So
Oh,
another
yours is
one I
a
got
wagon.
from Lexi
Tell.
says, "Congrats, Team Voltron, 200 episodes. Wow, thanks for sharing all the love that you definitely have for Voltron. I'm having such a hard time trying to find something that you haven't done already. That's because you're always giving us the best of you. My favorite thing is always the episodes review, and I love when you interview VLD people, especially people from the original show as well. Again, not everything that you do is awesome. Congratulations. Stay safe, Susanna."
Did you write that one? That one was really good. That one was really by you, wasn't it?
Mark Susanna Morel. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, Mark and Greg, I hope you're doing well. Congratulations on 200 episodes. Wow, time sure flies like you're chilling in the quantum abyss when you're having fun.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Oh no.
Speaking of this, I did a major noob move, and I did not go to the bathroom before this podcast, so I'm gonna dip out for like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Visit the quantum abyss.
I'm gonna set a
I'm gonna go to
stopwatch.
I was gonna say I'm gonna be counting. So
Yeah. Let us know how it goes.
I just started my phone timer, Josh.
Yeah.
Go.
Go.
Don't bring the microphone with you.
He's
Done that before.
totally gonna
Yes.
visit the brown lion.
Brown lion, my favorite joke from the entire season.
The brown
show,
lion.
I mean, brown lion.
Brown lion.
Foam lion, yeah, foam Voltron.
Foam Voltron.
No one on the other side of the glass found that even a little humorous. We
I
were all
know.
dying, and there was just
because it's
stone face.
disgusting. And we were turning their whole show into a shit joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joaquin was just like,
Yeah. super clever, guys. Super clever.
Yeah.
And you guys were outside.
Real mature.
You guys were outside in the heat.
Peter Lauren's
doing
brain going, I
interview
expected
outside,
more from
remember?
you.
In San Diego.
What was that part?
What, Mark?
You guys remember when you were outside doing an interview in San Diego and you were still talking about the brown lion?
Yeah, we were all very pleased with ourselves with that one.
Oh yeah.
Forever.
The brown lion lives on.
It was kind of it was like a true collaborative, like hysterical moment.
Yeah.
You know, like we all happened to be there for that. We all
Yeah.
we all kind of took pride in that joke. We all kind of came up with it together. That
Yeah,
doesn't
it came
happen
out
very
of a
often.
moment. It came out of
Pieced
the
it
moment.
together.
Yeah.
That's our legacy.
Yeah.
Forget
We
the
all
show.
had ownership over
Really did.
that piece of the franchise we own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Came right out of Voltron's butt, that brown lion.
Exactly. Just pulled it out of there.
And it
Now
belongs to
from
us.
the whoa.
There's the brown lion.
Oh, he shows out. Oh, he shows out big time.
At least once a day, sometimes twice if it's
Half the day.
So this one is from
If you're healthy.
Taylor's family on Twitter. For your guys' request, something I hope you guys are able to do is interview other characters from Voltron Legendary Defector.
Defector.
Defector. Legendary Defector.
I love
Wow.
that show. Yeah.
It's a whole other story.
Boy, that takes you on a whole
Aksha
nother
is the
level.
legendary defector. Aksha is the legendary defector.
Yes.
I love that. I'm stealing that.
That
That's
were
good.
not main characters. For example, the voice actors who brought the amazing characters of Ashra, Ezor,
There he is.
Sam, and Halkin Holt, or even Alpha.
Yes. Bring Erica.
Yeah.
Erica
Yes.
Luttrell.
Yes.
Erica's awesome.
The trap.
Yeah, she's great.
Luttrell. Every time. I love her so much. I
She's-
cannot get her last name.
She's beautiful.
So
Just to recap you, Josh, we talked about the brown lion and the legacy
Yep.
that is that.
yeah, you guys are
Brown lion.
responsible for the brown lion, nobody else.
Didn't Dave Coulier come and do a voice on our show?
Yeah.
He did.
Bebo B, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pee Wee Herman came in.
Yes.
Did Weird Al do a voice on the show?
He
I heard
did.
that.
He did.
He did, right?
He was the mermaid guy.
He was
When-
Blumsbub.
Oh, that's correct.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
When
Pee
Dave
Wee Herman
Coulier,
was the hustler shopkeeper.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I remember that. It's the Kaltenecker episode, Space Mall.
Yes.
Yes.
when
That's still one of my favorite episodes, man.
Allison
Yeah.
Stoner was the mermaid girl for Lance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Really? I thought it was Meg Whitman.
Mae Whitman was one, and Allison Stoner was the other.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. That's cool.
The girls that played you, right?
Girls
Yeah.
played.
Which time?
Got played.
Got Lance
one of
got
my
played.
favorite awkward stories.
So many
when-
girls,
when-
so many times played.
so-
So bad.
I'm gonna tell this story, damn it. When
Yeah.
Dave Coulier came in, there was I've probably told this before, but there was we were in a packed room, and one of the sound guys came in, and we're all sort of slightly in awe of Dave Coulier, and he's standing there, and someone goes, "Wow, we got a full house," and we all kind of slowly, or at least this is what I pictured in my head, we all sort of slowly, sheepishly looked over at him and was like, "I wonder if he knows." It was intensely
I'm sure he'd
awkward in
never
my
heard
mind.
that before.
Yeah.
Ever.
I don't know if it was
I'm
intentional.
really glad you told me that, because otherwise I would have no idea who Dave Coulier is.
Oh yeah, original
He's,
Full House, man. Cut it out.
Yeah.
Full house.
Now, thank you.
The
I needed a connection. Appreciate you.
Coulier.
All right.
Did Coulier do the voices of the Bebos?
Yeah, it's Bebo B.
Yeah, Bebo
That
B,
was
right?
him,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's the Jackalope voice. He made that famous on America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yes.
I remember
It's the
that.
same voice. Yeah,
Same voice, yeah.
He even used
Yeah.
that voice in some of his stand-up.
yeah.
Yep.
Type
It's
good.
good. It's a good
I've been
one.
listening-
trick.
Good voice.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of you recently on the Form podcast. That was the commentary podcast. I don't know if you guys remember that, coming in and watching some episodes in real time.
That's when we went to DreamWorks to do that, right?
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because anytime a 4-letter word comes up, they bleep it out with the Bebo B.
Oh my God.
Nice.
That's really God, how many times did I curse?
Yeah.
It's just all Bebo B the whole episode. It's a commentary by Bebo B.
Bebo Bex.
Yeah.
And I could just hear Lance saying, "I said B. I said it."
Bebo B. That killed me when we were in the booth and we were recording that. And you were doing the alternate takes of trying to say Bebo. The Bebo B. Like, I don't know why that destroyed me. That was the funniest thing.
Pretty sure AJ and I were like trying to stifle ourselves and keep silent.
So it was
Yeah,
so
they
good.
just basically.
That was hilarious.
I always lost it when Jeremy would do Reese, your impression of Reese.
Yeah.
It's like,
Canadians, get ready. Phoenix, it's not the same thing, but it's close. You know, it's finger counting isn't a science, really. It's more of an art form.
It's funny in real life. He doesn't really sound like that. Like when we were sitting
No,
there
he
having a
plays it
bagel,
up.
he'd be like, right, yeah, you know. He'd be
Yes,
so,
he had like
just,
this more.
you know,
He
calm.
plays up the accent for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
also has a very powerful upper range.
Yes.
It's like he has like derives more power up in the.
What are you
top of
talking
his-
about?
Seriously.
Yes.
See? There, you got
Once
me
he gets
again.
high enough that only dogs can hear him, he's hit his final form. He's at full power. He could command the dolphins with that.
I was so happy that I got to use that impression more or less at least once in the show, which was so great. That made me stoked. It was like the carnival. There's like a hit me game or one of those types of things, and it's like Koran, and so I think I did the voice for that, which was really fun.
It was like a whack-a-mole for Koran.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, the only other voice I ever did on the show, because my voice was fairly
Recognizable.
Just a little.
And also not very versatile. I got to do one of the Mer guards when the octopus is on its face going. And that was it. That was the only thing.
That was your.
I remember
they're like perfect.
Kids laughing sometimes.
Me and you were both there for that session because it's like mostly us in the episode. So
I know.
It was all HR. They were like, okay, well, you guys are gonna do most of these guys, and it was just the two of us in a vacuum.
I was so flattered. I was like, oh my God, they're asking me to do an alternate character. Like, and then they're like, yeah, so you just sound like you're being strangled by an octopus. Don't say any words. Don't say any words.
Just get strangled. Just get strangled.
They knew you could handle it.
Was it Andrea that told you to do that?
What's that?
Was it Andrea that told you to do that?
Yeah, but it was more of a Joaquin thing. I think he was like, yeah, you can't do anything else. Yeah. More like Joaquin, I think. But.
Think of a bird guard who goes.
They would let me do like little kids laughing sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
I guess I did some like group laughing Wallace stuff. Yeah. But only one feature.
I wanted one so bad.
I remember that a lot of times we would do takes of like the group screaming, and my voice sounded so high pitched. They're like, it sounds too much like Bex's voice.
Yeah.
I was like, they blend too much together. Do something else.
Lance sounds like Pitch.
Yeah.
Funny.
Jeremy, there were moments in the booth where they like. I mean, I know it started to become like almost like a thing. Let's see how high and long we can get Jeremy to scream. and it was like you have these moments where they're like, yeah, just if we could just go up just like just a little higher and a little longer. And you just get these like, and I would just have to take the cans off and just be like, oh my God, here we go. It was impressive, man. It's impressive.
Yeah.
I tried to always outdo myself in a challenge. I think one of my favorite things in the show, there's this epic scream that he does.
Yes.
That we did in ADR.
Which time?
The whole
there's
show,
a few.
It goes like all that black and white kind of epic anime
Oh
style.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And my face was like legitimately like sunburn red by the end of it. It was just like the winds up and the pull through all at once. I was just like I had like PTSD from it afterwards.
Yeah, you get a weird adrenaline rush when you do those big battle screens.
Dude, you do. Yeah. It was like I felt like all the pressure at my head. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you start getting lightheaded. I remember the one where I'm in the astral plane where I'm like running at Zarkon and coming at the camera. Man.
Long wind up.
Yeah.
Big old Sendak that was like that too when you were fighting Sendak.
Yeah.
I'm all throat, so I by like halfway through like the third season, I remember being like, I need to tell them that I have to wait till the end of the session to do all of my screaming, because if I do any of it at the beginning, I was just shot, man, totally shot.
Yeah.
The direction that Joaquin gave me, I don't remember if it was Joaquin, I think it was him, where he was like, it was like my big climactic like death rattle, and he was like, AJ, we're not, could you do the thing where it sounds like your throat's bleeding? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I forget if it was that take, but it was one of them where after I did the take, I was like, why is the room slowly tilting to the side? And I just started moving. Yeah, I just keeled over. I didn't fall, but I landed. I was like, oh, okay, I'm all right. It was
see those little like white dots around the room.
Yes.
That's when you know. That's
how
when
you know you got it.
The little golden sparkles.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, that's the take.
Yeah.
The tingling.
And that's when they say, can you do that one more time?
Just one more time.
Yeah.
Just one more. That was
Just one
really
more.
good. I think we're
we
almost
got- we
there.
got
You're
one
like,
for safety.
Yeah.
Did anybody else ever actually taste blood in their throat? Did you guys ever do any of those where you just get that taste?
I think I did with that Allura scream, the at the very end. That was really.
I had vocal surgery right at the end of the last season.
Oh,
wow.
Really? And I went in, and I was so worried my voice sounded different, because it does. And I went in, and they were like, we just need you to do all the screaming stuff we missed throughout the season because we had to watch out for your voice. And I was like, I had vocal surgery like 2 weeks ago. And they're like, can you do it? And I redlined it for this like 45-minute session. And I left there, and I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
I totally taste blood. It's all coming up, and like I could like taste that iron. But, yeah,
I remember when
crazy.
we were doing the ADR for the first season, the very, very first season. I had lost, this was like 4 years ago, I had lost my voice for about 3 months.
I remember that.
That's so
and I actually couldn't do it. Like I came in to do the ADR, and he had to give some commands, and I think it was even for the first episode, and they had to go with whatever audio they had on there, because like I couldn't sound like Shiro. I couldn't sound like anything. Like I had nothing.
Dang.
And to this day, like my voice hasn't completely recovered. Like I'm in speech therapy right now, and a lot of it was muscle tension from where my shoulder was ripped, because I had this injury for almost 20 years.
I remember this. Yeah.
About it, and so like when you start tearing tendons, your body starts recruiting other muscles to try to help out for the tendons that don't work anymore. So what's around your shoulder? Well, your neck and your throat and all of that, and your vocal cords are about that big. So when you have muscles pulling on this part of your neck, your vocal cords can't compete. And so I've basically for the last 4 years been functioning on a partially paralyzed vocal cord.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So
Gosh, you're the first guy who relayed that information to me that way. I remember, because I always struggle with my voice, as I think you guys remember, but like I remember you're like, dude, think about all the muscles surrounding your vocal cords that are like tense and pushing those things and squishing them. And I was like, I never thought about like stretching or doing whatever. So now I go to a laryngeal massage therapist who does like actual like laryngeal manipulations on me. I try to go like twice a month, and it's pretty painful, but man, what a difference. It just like opens everything up.
I bet it clears it up and just relaxes it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it just like kind of takes all the muscle tension, because I overcompensate. I push. I feel like I have a golf ball in my throat.
Well, we never did. Wow. I remember I did a convention where they actually had masseuses for us in the green room, which was awesome.
Yes, I was with you.
Yeah, it was a great convention somewhere in Canada.
Have you never had one of those, Bex? They're great.
Yes,
they're awesome.
They don't have all the time, but occasionally.
Yeah. Well,
it's amazing. And I had a masseuse there. Her name was Erin. And she was fantastic, and she basically
We love Erin. We love Erin.
Yeah, Erin's amazing. Erin Jin. And she said that
good people.
The worst that she says when she looks at voice actors' necks and throats, she says it looks like whiplash victims.
Yeah.
You're constantly using the tightening and doing all that, but how do you decompress that? There's really no way for you.
We're all like, I need a massage.
So yeah, I mean,
we gotta go schedule one.
Year after year,
I know.
after year, and plus injuries and stuff. It takes a toll. It absolutely takes a toll. So I've, for the last 4 years, just been kind of relearning how to talk again, because keeping the resonance out of my throat and kind of putting the placement more forward where it used to be.
Wow. Yeah,
we're in the same boat, Josh. After my surgery, I had to relearn how to do all this stuff. Like I was like, I don't trust any of this. And the crazy thing with my laryngeal masseuse is she massages the front of my spine behind my larynx.
That's
really
personal.
Weird, man.
She's inside of you.
How does that even happen, dare I ask?
It's deep.
Wow.
Or do you go? Hey, Tyler, do you go to the Ojai Valley Inn and Resort?
I do sometimes, but not for that. No, that's too
Too
no.
ritzy?
I have.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
place.
If you told anybody who goes there, like, hey, we have a laryngeal masseuse here, they would run screaming. No, there it's like,
go see the masseuse.
You want a hot clay and stone massage there. You don't want your spine massaged.
Yeah.
But it's no. I go to a woman in New York actually. Her name's Sierra Machalko, and she's awesome.
How does she get there to your spine?
It takes a while. She has to she works all the muscles around my larynx, and then eventually she does a lot of work where it cuts off your breath. Actually, she takes her thumbs and massages all up here, the tendons and and then she gets into the occipital muscles back here and loosens everything up, and then she just sort of gradually gets her fingers behind your voice box and just touches deeper and deeper.
I need her.
Has anybody ever had a psoas release?
So cool.
No.
Psoas is like this. It's like the top of your IT band. It goes behind your hip bone on both sides, behind your hip flexor.
Right.
And you carry so much tension there. And if you can get a masseuse to get in there and they just stick their thumb in it for a while, and it hurts like fuck, and then it just melts. And that's what this feels like.
I need that on my left side because
you're gonna
hurts like.
Is that? Yeah, oh, sorry. Hurts like ass. hurts like dicks. Hurts like. Yeah, it just melts. It melts away.
I need that. That sounds amazing. All of
It's
that.
so horrible, honestly.
Kimberly, it's such a vulnerable thing. You the first time it happens, all you want to do is punch them in the face.
Oh.
You don't want someone rooting around in the source of all your emotional baggage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I cry every time so much stuff comes out of me. It's
wow.
you just hold. I do anyway. I hold so much in my throat.
We all do.
So tell me about that, because I've actually heard this, because I started going for myofascial release for similar reasons.
Yeah.
And they were telling me, and I thought it was a bunch of hokum. They were saying, you might feel and remember old stuff when they start releasing this tension.
Yeah.
And is that true? That when
we store things in our body, we store things in various parts of our body, and so Tyler holding it here makes perfect sense. There's a whole communication aspect to this. I hold it in more in my roots, in my lower back the most, my lower back and my upper back.
Yeah.
And
mine's all here.
Me too.
And my feet. Every time someone gives me a foot massage, if they hit the dead center of my foot,
really?
That's where my emotions are oh fuck. Why am I crying?
Josh, I didn't know that I held all that stuff in there. I had a feeling because I always had vocal issues, and I was like, it feels like I want to cry all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That same feeling, that frown throat.
Yeah.
And it just sort of or swallowing a cry. And so when I start digging around in there, it's like someone is touching your cry buttons. For real, it's like, oh, that's where that is. It's like you have a puke button and you have a cry button right here. And it just, the more they get into it, the more you realize, what am I resisting right now? What is this crazy? Because it's not the pain. There is pain, but it's way deeper than that. And then you kind of let it in, and then it's like a full body trauma release or something. And I've been shaking times before. My whole body's shaking. Where you just feel like they're digging into your past, anything, any trauma that you hold.
Oh yeah.
In a concentrated spot is Pandora's box, man, and they dig in there, and it's
like emotional storage banks that we just keep everything there. But you know what? I did notice since you've been on, your voice does sound different, but it sounds really strong.
It sounds
strong. And
it sounds, you sound really good.
Well, I went through
whatever just going on is working.
It didn't sound like me, and I was very hyper aware of it. I was it was a little bit higher, and it was a little bit. It just felt like it was like I was in an electric. It was like I was in a Tesla. You know what I mean? It was like you touch the gas and there's no torque. It's just you're just off. And I was like, whoa. I'm so used to so much resistance in here that I didn't know how to modulate or just come out. And I was like, oh, I'm whipped. And then I sort of started.
It's hi, everyone.
Yeah. And there was no brakes on it either. It just keep going.
So interesting.
I couldn't do any yelling. I couldn't scream. It was that would go back.
I'm sure
to
your kids love that.
It didn't work anymore.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's crazy, but it's been so good. It's completely changed the way I act. I think all the work I'm doing on New Amsterdam, I really owe a lot to me doing vocal work and getting the surgery done. And it's, as you guys all know, any actor can tell you, that's your tool, man. If you can't use that and access the emotion behind that, what do you got? It's all trickery. It's all fakery until you can.
I had this.
Yeah, you sound so much more resonant. Like you used to have more of a husk in the voice. Like,
that's gone.
Yeah.
It's very clear and resonant.
Very
The
clear.
huskiness is kind of come back, but it's like a controlled husky now. It's not like I'm like.
Yeah,
I don't have
it's
to,
intentional. It's like
it's not an uncontrolled husky.
I want to get
it's not a wild Siberian husky.
What were you going to say, Jeremy?
Oh, I was gonna say no. Yeah, I had a day on set of the new show where I like skipped out. Like everyone got sick, and I skipped out on it. Like I think it was like the cold that kind of went through, so everybody was kind of out. And then I was gone I had like 1 week off of shooting because there's a sequence that they were shooting that like me and two of the mains weren't in. So I finally got a chance to like a break, and then I came back and like everyone was like recovering, like but they had all just been knocked out, and they're like, "Oh, we're finally back," and I was like. Skipped on that, heyo. And then like 2 days in, I started feeling it here, and I was like, oh, frick. Yeah. And right, like there was one morning where I woke up and I was like, I literally can't talk today. My voice was just completely gone, and I was thankful that like it was a day where I only had like a few lines that day, but it was a struggle just to do like simple phrases. It was like. Hey man, what are you talking about? Was like, hey man, what are you talking about? It was so bad. It was like, this is so unnatural. And I was like, there's no way I'm not doing this again at ADR. Like, just, I let him know. I was like, I'll do the lines, but it's not.
I have an entire episode of Arrow where you can tell that I'm sick.
Yeah. You can see it, and you're like that. And it's so funny when you shoot stuff like out of order like that too, because the scene right prior, totally fine. Scene right afterwards, totally fine. But that middle section is like, did he just lose his voice for like seconds?
You can always see it. You can always see it in an actor's neck.
Yeah.
That became my entire. It was varying degrees of that for me for the last few years before I got surgery. But I could tell on bad days, man, you're just pushing so hard. There's veins popping out of your neck, and you're trying to look casual about it. Like, yeah.
I remember watching Big Bang Theory and seeing one of the characters. They definitely had a cold at the time, and you could tell.
Oh yeah.
The show must go on, Mark. The show must go on.
You can't always fully hide it because with scheduling, it's like you just have to shoot. So you know,
that's what's dangerous about trying to work through COVID.
Yes, exactly.
That's what's dangerous about trying to go back to work too soon with COVID.
Exactly.
Yep.
On a lighter note, Josh had to ADR a whole lot of pidge because it sounded too much like bitch.
Is that true? Really? I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Oh,
I knew
yeah.
that. That's funny.
That's so funny.
Bitch.
Bitch, get over here. I need cover, bitch.
Subconsciously, Josh was maybe leaning into that a bit.
I know.
You're a say bitch.
Network's like, you know, everything's great. There's just, it sounds like Shiro is really just mean to people a lot. Like, he seems to call certain other members of Voltron bitch a lot. I don't know what. This is really mean.
You know this is TVY7, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys will bleep
Practices isn't having this.
I'm sure you guys will bleep all this out, but remember the episode where we're training, and I think everybody's training, and like in the castle, and the porthole's open, and everybody like kind of falls through.
It sounds like you say fuck.
Yes, that's what everybody says.
Yes. Wait,
really?
what if?
Let Hero say fuck. And
What's the
I
real
get
line?
people sending me that video going, does he say fuck?
What is the actual line?
There's no line. It's just me falling through the thing and going,
Oh,
everybody thinks I'm saying fuck.
you probably did.
Could you imagine if they snuck one of those in there?
Listen, if it sounds like fuck and it looks like fuck,
If it smells like,
it probably is fuck. Yeah.
I'll never say it, but maybe I say it.
You don't have to. It's been decided. It's been decided.
it's what was said.
Can you
We all
send me
agree.
that episode? I really want to watch that back now. That's right.
So I have a quick little game that we can play as we close out here because we are running out of time. So I just want to get this in. We got a note from Susan C. from Indiana, And she said, I really loved when Josh Keaton sang I Can Be Your Shiro on the Shenanigans episode. But I would be happy to have anything to do with Josh Keaton. Your interviews and interactions with him were a lot of fun to listen to. The work and love he put into Shiro and Voltron made it extra special for the fans.
Wow. I can be happy to be involved with anything that Josh Keaton does.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Me too.
So she has a few questions here that we can play in a Voltron-style Would You Rather game.
Okay.
Nice.
So here's the first one. Would you rather spend the day with Slav or explain to Burr why Voltron isn't coming to Clear Day again?
Spend the day with Slav.
Slav.
Yeah, Slav.
Slav.
I like Slav.
Yeah, Slav's
I
great.
love Slav.
So nobody likes Burr, huh?
He's great. He'll clean my room.
He knows all the realities. He knows what's happening, man.
He knows everything.
He's got
He knows
ratios,
too
man.
much.
He's got perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There he is. Oh my God, that's long.
That's a
That's
long
amazing.
That's
Wow.
All right.
Slav.
Next one.
That's lovely.
Would you rather
Slav.
travel to the belly of a Weblum or eat at Repit Sal's pre-hunk?
Oh, Weblum.
Oh,
Weblum.
Definitely Weblum.
Weblum.
I saw that
Yeah.
movie.
No, because I went to the belly of a Weblum.
I'm gonna go with Sal's.
nice.
I'll take
And
that over
Repit-
being inside a whale anyway.
Yeah,
That
Repit
sounds-
Sal's
Oh,
was
man,
like.
see that food?
Let's put it
I
this
don't
way.
remember it that
Repit
well.
Sal's
Inside
had
the
enough.
Weblum is like the most intense VR adventure game ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Repit Sal's had enough promise that Hunk actually invested his time.
There we go.
Oh, that's a good
Ah.
point. Can I change my
Yeah.
answer?
I changed mine to Sal.
No.
Change mine to Sal's.
All right. Would you rather play Monsters and Mana or go to the Space Mall?
Monsters and Mana.
Monsters and Mana.
Mana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I didn't do either. So
That was
Still
good.
one of my
Monsters
favorite
and Mana.
episodes of all time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather fight alongside the Rebels with Matt Holt or the Blade of Marmora with Krolia?
Oh, that's
Ooh.
a tough one.
Oh, wait, I've got the Blade of Marmora jacket
Yeah.
on.
I would
I can't
say
choose.
Blade of Marmora just because you get those epic costumes and you look like a space ninja.
Yeah.
It is an epic costume, but since I already have it, I'm gonna go with Rebels.
Very nice.
Matt
Yeah,
had the dog
very
friend,
badass.
though, right? There's that
Yeah,
little
that dog homie.
Yeah, he's got the dog buddy. I'm going with dog.
Dog guy's
The Blades are all super serious. They've all got like weird. Yeah, let's hang out with dog guy.
Yeah, Krolia was kind of the worst.
Really?
Matt Holt. I go Matt Holt.
Captain Aaliyah now is dog guy.
Dog guy. I told you I have the memory of a goldfish.
Cosmo.
I don't remember what's outside my booth anymore. I've been in here too long.
And yet you remembered the brown lion.
That is burned
That
in my brain.
he will not
Really-
forget.
The brown lion left an indelible mark.
Oh, yeah.
One that could not be
Skidded into my memory.
Skidded.
Would you rather try to translate for Bebo B or Pidge's Technobabble?
Oh, Pidge.
Technobabble. I get it.
There for Pidge. I'm there for it all, man.
I love
Pidge.
Pidge's Technobabble.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Go
It's not
Pidge.
babble to
And
me.
if you can't make sense of it, Pidge will explain it.
Exactly.
There you
Yeah. That's the thing. It's not babble to us.
Yes.
go.
We understand.
Would you rather fight a Shiro clone or a Lotor clone?
Ooh. I would try to spin the Lotor clone into some sort of relationship. See if I could somehow maybe turn the tables a little bit. You gotta woo him, but I say
Yeah,
it was
is it
for
a
Shiro,
Shiro
though, so.
clone who's currently being occupied by the Galra?
Yeah.
But it doesn't say that necessarily in the question.
Yeah,
so
Mark's just
loophole,
like, yeah,
I choose
it
the
is.
happy Shiro clone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say which Shiro clone.
I'll choose Shiro. I mean, I think Lotor is like taller and they have like shape-shifting abilities and other magic weirdo crap. So yeah, I'll say Shiro.
I think it'd be fun because you can have all these moments of like, Shiro, I know you're in there. You're in there somewhere.
Oh, full
Like really
teeth.
dramatic moments of like blade to blade. Like, come on, man, hear me.
Although, is it Dutch Shiro or what's the yoo-hoo?
Oh, right.
Yo.
Swedish.
That'd be just fun.
Right?
Is this, would you rather fight or would you rather
Finn.
hang out with?
It's
I
fight.
think it's fight. Yeah.
That's what it was.
But
Right,
you could still fight Shiro, who's not in evil, like clone Shiro, not in evil clone Shiro mode. Like you could be training with clone Shiro, right?
I don't think that's what they meant, though.
What if
It just meant fighting.
All right.
I'm finding a loophole.
Would you rather live in the Castle of Lions or in the Atlas?
Castle of Lions.
Castle of Lions.
Right?
Lions.
The
Doesn't
original.
the Atlas constantly fold up? Because that would suck. It's like, we're transforming. You're like, oh, shit.
I know.
Like-
You have to,
Designed like
I just
Eric
made
said.
the
No, wait, I'm in between. And then
Yeah, you have like a puzzle that gets ripped in half. Your friend Gary just gets torn up. Like, I don't think that's a safe environment.
The Garrison Gary? Yeah.
Garrison
with the
Gary.
castle. I'm sticking with the castle.
Killing that guy.
Castle
I
of
like the
Lions.
castle because it's more intimate, you know? There's
Yeah.
so many people in there, you know. Look, I love the Atlas. It's my ship. But with the castle, there's just far fewer people in there. You know,
Yeah.
there's more places to get some time for
And
private.
it's a castle, so any planet you roll up on, you're freaking royalty. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our decompression castle.
Would you rather be stuck in one of the Lions' cockpits with Karan while he tries to teach you the Altean alphabet, or Lance after he passes gas?
Oh,
Oh,
Duran.
yeah, Karan.
I've smelled those.
Ran.
Karan the gorgeous.
I don't know. I feel like Lance and Hunk have ingested many of each other's bodily functions.
I think
Lots of
Cancel each
Pidge
other.
has I think Pidge has been around Lance farts enough times to choose Karan.
Yeah.
I'll say Lance.
I'm going with Lance.
I'm saying Lance. I mean, he can probably filter out the stuff. It's a spaceship. They can filter out the.
Well, I mean, it's your own brand. You're
You're
cheating
cheating
Can I
because
smell
it is
anything
Haggar.
through
Smell
my?
it,
I can't
so
smell anything through my.
fine, you know.
I can't smell through my helmet anyway, right?
Ah.
It's
Not
not
a
a smell.
helmet.
Ah!
Smell it! Ah, no!
Woo! All right.
Hey, that's because we're dads
Helmet.
right there, buddy. Dad jokes.
There you
All
go.
right. Would you rather have
Melomits.
magical Altean powers like Allura or be a genius like Pidge?
I'll take powers.
Both. I'm gonna go for both. Put them together.
I think my powers are pretty cool. I'm sticking with my powers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with powers just because I'd love to because what could you could just get big suddenly.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun.
All kinds of stuff.
That comes in handy.
All that quintessence, all that.
But who knows the limits of the power? What if you can make yourself a genius?
Who knows the limits of the intelligence? She's 14.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is that with the magical powers, you can do genius.
I'll take magical powers.
You have it all.
Although I'll take magical powers because also Allura is very intelligent. So you know, we're kind of,
It doesn't mean
we're
we would be
excluding
though.
that.
It's true.
We might be dumb as a rock, but we can make
If I were
ourselves
to
grow.
use my natural intelligence with the powers, nothing would get done. Now, if I had the super intelligence, I might actually be useful.
Or you'd be so intelligent you would just go crazy.
Yeah.
You think I
That might
don't
be-
already?
It's like
and I'm
double
not.
intelligence. Yeah.
I think
Monkey
Although I-
mind.
intelligence
The
is
monkey
just-
mind.
Yeah.
And here's the last one. Would you rather give bad news to Haggar or Zarkon?
Haggar.
Zarkon, because I'd want to do it like
Oh.
sadistically with the twist of a knife. But like, Daddy, guess who's dead?
You are.
Yeah, but that would require talking to Zarkon.
True.
Yeah. They're both
Haggar.
hotheads. They're both total hotheads.
I think Haggar is worse though. I think
Yeah, no,
Haggar is like a
might
little
be.
more, a little less.
Up, like
Zarkon's like a leader. Let's not forget. Haggar is
It's
just like
true.
a loose cannon, crazy person, right?
Woman
true.
scorn.
they're
She's got
both
that
loose
woman
cannon
scorn
crazy.
anger.
There might be some
Yeah.
diplomacy with Zarkon, but with Haggar, you just be like witch toast.
Yeah.
So,
Toast.
yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite kind.
I think she reacts more emotionally. So yeah, you're right. Let's go with Zarkon.
And you
She'd
that's fair.
electrocute
It also
you.
plays the longer game though, so I think it'd be much more fun to give her the bad news.
Yeah, Haggar does
Play a game on.
think 4 steps ahead when Zarkon thinks 3 behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take Haggar and
With-
just be a
With
little
Haggar, I'd be afraid of ever falling asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or if you see a bunch of yourself suddenly coming at you, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty freaky too.
But at least you'd actually have like an arch nemesis worth a damn. Especially if you chose Pidge's intelligence and then chose Haggar.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be like set up for the chess game of the century.
Well, was this all compounding? Because if that's the case, I'm screwed. Because I basically, all I could do was turn it all large,
All
like a
the wrong
sponge you add water to. Like, that's my power.
Remember those when you were a kid? You'd have like the little tiny thing that was a dinosaur.
That's what I was like. It's like came like a pill capsule, or they'd be the really
so
sticky.
disappointing because they went like this. Thinking it was going to be this big old thing, and
Nope. And then it was just a slimy, useless brontosaurus that you really couldn't do anything with. You couldn't play with it.
Yeah, but like nothing could compare to the disappointment of sea monkeys. I mean, come on.
Oh man, there's a documentary on YouTube about them.
That was the worst. That was the biggest racket of all time. At least the actual like growth was measurable with the little pill dinosaurs. Sea monkeys were just dead brine shrimp.
Yep.
Yes.
Did you know?
Yeah.
You know the two packets. You know how you put one packet in, it's supposed to be eggs, and you put the second one in, and it brings them to life. Apparently, the second packets just die. So all you did was dye their weird little dead bodies.
Yeah,
so it's just all a scam. Yeah, there's a documentary about it on YouTube that I was fascinated by.
I need to watch
that.
that.
God.
Yeah.
Will you send me that?
Brine shrimp.
Yeah.
I'm adding that to
They're
my
dead? They're not even
list.
alive? You don't even get live sea
I think they might
They're
be.
freeze-dried. They're a lot. Apparently, they can be rehydrated, but they're freeze-dried, rehydrated, and then AJ's right. There's something with the dye and some salinization that makes them like they're not alive. They're not reanimated, but their bodies
They jiggle.
react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is life really? What is this?
Yeah.
When you're a brine
Series of
shrimp, what is the
twitches.
threshold?
It's such an interpretive word, you know.
I'm
Yeah.
disturbed by sea monkeys at this point. Or maybe history behind sea monkeys. That's
Stop.
I
Stop.
fell down the stairs as a kid with I had a thing of sea monkeys, fell down the stairs, and all the sea monkeys soaked into the carpet, and I never I told my dad, like, I think a couple months ago, I was like, you know that crusty spot in the carpet that we can never get out? That was our monkeys that just disappeared.
No.
It's basically
On my headphone, I was so passionate about that.
Wow.
God.
All right. So I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but Phineas and Ferb has been off the air for a few years now, and now they're coming out with a new movie.
Oh yeah, cool.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's like Candace against the universe or something like that. But I was wondering, would you guys ever come back for a Voltron movie if it was animated?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are they waiting for?
The question is, would they have us?
Yeah. Yeah, that's who you need to be asking.
I don't think I could ever see these characters in anywhere else without you guys.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I think me and Allura would have to be a Weekend at Bernie's type situation.
I smell the plot to Weekend at Bernie's 3 right there.
Yeah.
There was a Weekend at Bernie's 2?
Wait, what? It's the best of the Bernies.
Far superior to the
Far,
first one.
so much better. Go watch Weekend at Bernie's right now. The music
Really?
and the dancing and the
It's
Bernie.
It's much better.
So good.
All the
They had a
important
chance to
people
polish
about
that turd by the second time around. It was nice.
Oh, that's incredible.
Go check it out. It's probably on Amazon Prime somewhere or something like that.
Ah,
This is going to be my week. I'll
I
put on
know.
Bernie's too while I'm painting the room. It's going to be amazing.
So
And that sea monkey documentary. Don't forget that.
It's only like 2 minutes, I think, on YouTube or something, but it's worth it.
I just want to thank you guys for joining us. This has been an amazing thing, and it's one of these things that has happened during this whole coronavirus pandemic and everything is, these casts that are reuniting on Zoom, and it's just wonderful to see, and it's wonderful to see with you guys, and I know the fans are going to love it. So thank you for joining us for our 200th episode.
Thank you for having
Hey,
me.
thanks,
Yeah,
thanks, Mark.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thanks for having us.
guys.
And
Thanks for having
gotta
us. and
add-
Congrats on 200 episodes. That's huge.
I know.
Yeah, that's
Congratulations.
crazy. I didn't know there was that much to talk about.
Who knew?
Who knew?
You wanted to say something, Greg?
Yeah, I want to thank each and every one of you. I've been rewatching some of the episodes, and as I said earlier, listening to episodes of Forum Podcast where you're talking about your memories of working on the show, and it really reminded me of how much this show means to me personally, and certainly means to so many viewers. And thanks to each and every one of you for sharing your talents with us. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
Aw.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
man. It was
you.
our pleasure.
really
Yeah.
sweet. Thanks, man.
But
Yeah.
I'll say right straight out of the gates, Voltron is still, for me, one of my favorite professional experiences I've ever had. It
Me
was
too.
amazing. There was magic in that booth. I was new to the whole VO world, and like, couldn't have been a better experience. I'm just glad it resonated with people.
Yeah, same.
Ditto
My
that.
favorite unprofessional experience.
Yeah.
That
Mildly
too.
professional experience.
Mildly
Yeah.
professional.
At some times
Martin Luther King experience.
professional.
Yeah, I totally. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah. I love you guys. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love your
See you all
faces.
again.
It was nice to
Yes.
meet all of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now I feel like we're all going to be seeing each other, like, to record more. I have this,
Yes.
I have a feeling.
Aren't we going to see each other Thursday?
Well, then, I mean, we should make this a thing.
Yes.
We should keep it-
No, I mean, I think I'm having a premonition. We will be in the booth again as these characters one day. I feel
Wow.
it. We will.
Do it.
Love
Put it
that.
out there. Put it out there in the ether. Into the
Yes.
ether.
Doing this.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Put it out
Thanks
there.
again, and we'll see you all next time on
Let's Voltron!
Fun.
So it's so in unison. We formed that.
But we really formed
We foamed that for sure.
Oh, we
Timing
foamed it
was
all
never
right.
our thing.
We foamed it.
That was awesome.
It was. If I could cartoonishly make my jaw drop to the floor and then without a lot of visual effects, I totally would. Yeah. What a lot of fun. Crazy.
We have had all those people on the podcast prior, but never all at the same time. On Skype, it would be a little bit difficult because you might have a little bit of lag. But on Zoom, boy, did that really work out, huh?
Oh, yes. Amazingly well.
It reminded me of some of the things that have happened since this pandemic started. Some of these casts that have come together for reunions, I had mentioned prior the Star Trek The Next Generation cast.
Right?
And did you see the one with the Lord of the Rings cast?
No, I haven't seen any of the cast reunions. I've heard about many of them, though.
There's been some amazing cast reunions, and wow, Voltron Legendary Defender does not disappoint at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had all the paladins except for Keith.
Yeah.
And wow, and we had Lotor.
And Griffin.
Yeah, James Griffin. Yeah. So, and then we found out some of the characters that they had played that weren't their normal characters.
Mm-hmm. Fun stuff. And we got to see a lot of, lockdown hairdos, which was nice.
Yes.
Josh Keaton had quite a do, didn't he, under that hat?
Yes. And I love, of course, his Space Dad shirt. Yeah. So I can't say enough about these people. These people are the best. I mean,
and Voltron Legendary Defender as a show has ended. I mean, obviously the memories live on and the experience lives on and all that. But, they're not in a position where they have to promote the show anymore. Right. So for them to come together as they did on their own time was really amazing. And
yes,
we're so thankful that they did, because, wow, that was fun.
Yes, they really, truly have become their own little family, because they really enjoyed the time that they spent together making the show.
Right.
And of course, they've hung out together afterwards, after the show was over and everything. And I think a few of them even did, just before the pandemic came, that I remember seeing on social media, some of them getting together for dinner.
That's pretty cool.
So Jeremy and Tyler are the ones that haven't been with the group as much over the last year or year and a half. And, they've been pretty busy and being in different areas, filming and stuff like that, from New York to Georgia and everywhere else. Mm-hmm. So for them to be back together with the group again was great. It was great to see them all together. And you could see the look on their faces, just how much they enjoyed seeing each other.
Oh, yeah. And to be flies on the wall, as we kind of were, as they had their reunions, was just a blast.
Yes. Yeah, so I have to say this 200th episode celebration that we've had for Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast, has come together like Voltron.
Oh yeah,
Once
I think
again.
it might have come together like Voltron and the Atlas.
Yes,
maybe. I mean, this time around with all the guests, with Lotor and the Generals, and some amazing voice talent, just great stuff.
Yes, and once again, thank you to the listeners for participating along with us and sending in your emails. We appreciate that very much. We
And the
appreciate
art.
listening to the podcast, all these 200 episodes. Some of you have been with us from day one, and we thank you for that.
Yes, thank you so much.
So we're going to close this one out, and we're going to leave you with some music from Lotor and the Generals.
All right, let me see if I can get Voltron to aim here real quick. Bam. There we go. So that's as close to fireworks as I'm going to get for this podcast. But yeah. So let's hear some music from Lotor and the Generals.
And we'll see you next time on
Let's Voltron!